I am Judd Lienhard, former Army Ranger, college linebacker. I've been a strength and performance coach for over 15 years. Let's get into it. Today I sit down with my friend and fellow Austinite, Justin Mihaly, owner of a highly successful fitness coaching business and the host of the Grow or Die podcast.
What's up, man?
What is happening,
brother? You're
dude?
looking good, man. Looking
so
lean.
good to see you, man.
Yeah,
so
man.
good to see you. I'm very excited to chat.
Yeah, man. I
This
can't
is
wait.
gonna be awesome. This is a cool spot, bro.
Yeah, it's cool.
Wow. Yeah, I like this so much.
Have you seen Between Two Ferns?
No way is this where they record. Oh
No,
my
but-
goodness.
No, it's not, but it could be.
Oh, it could be. I was like, dude, no way, that would be sick. I didn't know if that was like still a thing.
I'm gonna call it Between My
That
Ferns.
is so funny. Oh, I love this.
Bro, like the funny story, I know we talked about this briefly, but like I'm a fucking flake, right?
Yeah.
So I just knew I had to go on a podcast today. I'd been following you for years, man. I was a huge fan. And I just didn't pay attention. And it was like such a huge surprise when I walked in, it was you. I was like, holy shit, I'm on your podcast? Because I was just like, another podcast.
So
Here we
funny.
go, you know, like,
Dude, I love
was like,
that.
what the fuck? It's
That's
awesome.
so funny.
I know.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Yeah, we had a great show.
Yeah, no, it was awesome,
was
man. I was like, I gotta
got
get this dude
lots
on
of-
when I have mine because I can
Yeah.
talk for days to this dude.
I definitely made my bread and butter in the bodybuilding coaching space, which was, I'm not sure if you got a chance to see, but we won the National Championship on
Reagan
Saturday.
King?
Yes. bro.
NPC
Yes,
overall.
bro.
Congratulations, brother. People don't understand how hard that is.
I have accomplished 23 pro cards before that one, so 24. I've had 11 pro wins, 2 Olympia top 10s. That was
Holy
what I
shit.
wanted.
Holy shit.
That was the one I wanted.
You've trained over 400 competitive
I've had over
bodybuilders?
400 competitors. We have 200 and some overalls. Like the numbers are pretty insane to look back on because, like we briefly chatted about before I started the show. Like, dude, I'm just going about life.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it. I'm just trying to help people the best I can.
Yeah.
I'm no longer. I'm retired from new competitors. I'm retired from new clients. If you're not working with me now, you'll never be able to work with me. Yeah, dude, right? But the TM staff is well trained to handle everybody. But
TM is for Together More,
Together More.
and that's your online fitness
Yeah,
training.
that's all my fitness community
Yeah.
that I had. But ECA, the Elite Coaching Academy,
Okay.
dude, we launched this thing in August. We have 88 mentees already.
Holy shit.
So I'm like seeing this thing explode.
Yeah.
And like Judd, with this, like with my clients, it's just 1-to-1. Like I can only help you right now.
Yeah.
With the staff, I can help you, and my principals can help other people. With ECA, that's 88 coaches.
Holy
That's
shit.
88 coaches who all have their own rosters, their own clients who are learning my methods.
Hey, so there's so much I want to ask you about, man. Like, how do you build other people so that when they interact with people, that they carry your vision and your message to other people in the way that you want it to happen? Do you have a system that you follow that you can explain succinctly?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. When you meet someone, that energy's got to be on. I can't teach you how to be hype. I can't teach you how to
True.
be excited.
True.
But there's something about, okay, being hype and excited. Are you obnoxious? Or are you still going to be well thought out? I'm hype and excited, but like I'm going to
I'm
think
not going to say I'm not
before-
obnoxious.
I'm not going to say that I'm not a little arrogant and obnoxious, but
I saw you reel on being arrogant, a little bit arrogant. Yeah, it's true, man. It's true.
So that's another, like, these are characteristic traits that you need to have. You need to be able to believe in yourself. You need to be able to talk to people, look them in the eye, and carry a conversation. You got to have a little bit of sales etiquette.
Sure.
You have to be able to have sales etiquette.
Some emotional intelligence.
Some sort of
Social
emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And if you have those things, then I can take you and I can make you a great coach. Or I can take you and I can teach you how to make money in fitness. But to be honest, dude, like I can't take someone who's like super shy, like introverted, and like doesn't want to be out there. I'm not sure how much I can really help that person.
Dude, it's funny, the coaches we've hired in my business, same way. I can teach you the science.
It's
I can't
so
teach you how to like interact with people and form bonds with people and I can't teach you how to fucking care about people. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I can't teach you how to care about other people.
Dude, that's a great point. We live in a capitalistic society, of course, which we can choose to take advantage of or let it take advantage of us. But in that, if you're in a person-to-person world, you better care a lot about the human. You better care a lot about
Absolutely.
that human being that's going to pay you money.
Because that's not something you can fake.
No,
You know what I
dude,
mean?
you really can't. If you are faking it, eventually it's going to come out.
It's going to come out.
We've seen this happen.
Yeah.
We've seen this happen with people before where, you don't have the right intentions with what you're doing here. And you really are just trying to like make money. Dude, everyone's got to make their money.
But you get what you pay for.
Yes.
And if you're not willing to invest in it,
yeah.
you know, think of all the money we spend on shit that doesn't make us happy.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you don't value it as much as I value it, then maybe we're not right for each other.
Dude, I have a funny LOL coming out of Nationals weekend to follow up on that. To beat a dead horse just a little bit, I was backstage with one of my clients, again, high ticket service similar to yours. And I see this guy he's got Cap and Crunch going in his mouth. Backstage, I'm looking at him like,
dude, the roof of his mouth had to be on fire.
Bro, it had to be. Like, your stomach's already punched out. Like, this is not going to help the situation. I'm sure he has a really good physique. Mm-hmm. He gets posted later on. I saw him last night after I got home. He gets posted as like a guy to watch out for next year. He didn't get the job done this week. And I go to his profile. I'm looking at the pictures from 1 week out that he posts on Instagram to how he looked on stage. I see who his coach is. I know that coach charges about $200 a month. And I'm like, you got a $200 a month piece.
That's right. You get what you pay for.
You got what you paid for.
I'm like,
and that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. He was told to do that.
Yeah.
With the cereal. Backstage, Judd, I'm talking.
Bro.
What?
You get what you pay for.
And meanwhile, Reagan King, the overall champion, is over here just like measuring out his honey. I'm measuring out his sodium, measuring out his potassium.
Exactly.
And it's like, again, get what you pay for.
And if you care about somebody, you're not going to sell them something that you know they can't afford if they don't maybe change their budget a little bit, or if they don't prioritize other things.
Yeah.
I remember, so this is about you. I'll tell a quick story.
Yeah.
When I was a young trainer, I worked at, right when I got out of college, I worked at 24 Hour Fitness as a young trainer. I was probably early 20s, right? And I think we charged like $70 an hour back then, which to me seemed outlandish because I'm from a small town in Missouri.
Yep.
When I told people $20 an hour for training, they'd be like, oh my God, you know? And I'm like, how do I justify this for a workout? Because I would never pay that.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for me to sell people. I was almost embarrassed when I'd see the number for the training, right? But then I saw people's bodies changing and how that impacted their lives. And one day, a girl walked in and she says, I can't renew the training because I bought this purse. And I was from Missouri. I didn't know purses cost over $40, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how much is the purse? She's like, $800. I'm like, you spent $800 on a purse? And I'm like, listen. And it was a moment where I thought I had already lost her as a client, so I wasn't trying to sell her anything. And I was like, listen, if you took that $800 and bought 2 months worth of training, because at the time it's about what it costs, I was like, you could walk in carrying your shit in a garbage bag and nobody knows your fucking purse.
Yep.
You know? And then she like returned the purse the next day and I ended up training her for like 4 years.
Came back.
But I'm like, what do you choose to invest in? You know what I mean?
This is a funny conversation. I'm not sure Sammy's going to love I say this one on camera, but I've got to put out Sammy's my girlfriend, obviously. I didn't get to introduce you guys that day. I saw you at Lifetime. That's that. She's fucking spectacular. She's incredible. We talk often about the better you look because of the more you put into your body, the gym, the diet, the everything, the cheaper your clothes can be because everything looks good on you.
Exactly. I'm like, you're spending $800 on jeans to cover up an ass that you're ashamed of to make it last. Dude, if your ass was good, you could wear $20 jeans.
Yes.
A good ass looks good in anything, right?
Like, you will actually get ROI, saving money on the clothes and the fancy stuff.
So I think about that all the time.
Putting it into your body, and then everything looks good on
it. Like, where'd you get that t-shirt? Target?
Yes. Yes. Target. My entire wardrobe is these black t-shirts. Cuts. Do you have any Cuts t-shirts?
No, but it looks good on you though, man.
Dude, they don't know I exist. Yeah. If they see this, please sponsor me. No. Dude, these are my favorite black t-shirts. Judd, if you walked in my closet right now, it's just this t-shirt hundreds of times. And I wear this every day.
I like simple too, man, honestly.
It makes it so easy.
Yeah.
Like, it looks good. Mm-hmm. And it looks good because you train for it.
Yep.
And, to some people, this might sound a little narcissistic. I know we had a reel. After my podcast that kind of went nuts and people were like talking about toxic masculinity and stuff. I can't remember what we were talking about. This might sound a little bit narcissistic or toxic masculinity, but if you know, you know. Put that work into your body. Because as you improve your body, that body gives you more opportunities. Mm-hmm. It opens more doors. It makes people see you in a different light. Whereas if you come around me with a Prada bag, I don't give a shit. I don't notice.
I don't notice that shit. Just like I don't notice if some men do. I don't notice if you're wearing a $20 watch or a $400 watch. I notice if your belly's hanging over your pants.
I agree.
And here's the thing too. you can't invest in other people and you can't be present if you're too self-aware or self-conscious. One thing being in shape does is it lets you be less self-aware because you're not self-conscious about how you look and feel. 100%. You know you look good, you're confident, then you can walk in and focus on other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
People think it's a thing of like self-centeredness. It can be that it frees you up. Like, I don't have to be self-conscious now. I can walk in, I know I look fine. I don't have to be embarrassed or anything.
There's also a point of diminishing returns. I've seen it in the bodybuilding realm where like I'm at Nationals, MPC Nationals, like the amount of just gigantic humans that are walking around just so sad. And I mean, you can see it, you can wear.
That's what got me out. You know, I bodybuilded when I was in my early 20s. That's what got me out, was seeing the nature of the culture. And how sad it was for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And it just wasn't. But like, I love bodybuilding because of the dedication, the attention to detail. You view it as like an art form, you know, and we all know this. You know?
It is an art form.
Yeah.
It's also, it's sad to see people put so much work and feel that they've been slighted by the world, or that they not feel confident, like not actually have that confidence. It's sad to see people look so good and feel the need to talk about other people, man. Like I had this thing. I'm not sure if this is too radical for your podcast.
Bro,
I just say, like,
anything you want to talk about.
If you are a man and you're spending time talking badly about another man, that's a little gay to me, dog.
No, absolutely.
Why is his name in your mouth?
Absolutely.
Why's his name in your mouth?
Why are you focusing so much on other dudes?
That's
like,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like, what's going on?
To me, it's like unhealthy competition. You know, I think we talked about this too. Like competition, like there's a set standard of rules. You know who wins. You agree to compete. And there's a start and a finish, right?
Yep.
But when these dudes, they compete with other dudes that don't even know they're competing with them, I'm like, bro, that's like super feminine. Like, no hate on women.
No, it's very feminine.
Yeah, it's like, dude, that's a feminine.
You can't bring that energy around me and my friend group.
Yeah, it's like, bro.
Can I ask you, is there anyone that you identify as someone that you like competing against, whether they know or don't know? Like someone that you, like in a healthy way, someone that might set a standard for you a little bit?
In the industry? Like,
anywhere. None of these people are in my industry.
Honestly, I wish I could think of somebody, but no, because it's always me competing against me, right? You know what I mean? Like, am I better? Am I getting better? Am I progressing?
Yeah.
You know, and I can't control. And another thing I've started to do better as I get older is just focus on what I can control, and I can't control how good somebody else is going to be. I can only, I can look to other people and admire them and emulate them, and I think that's healthy.
I agree.
But at the end of the day, it's got to be painted with my version of things in my own light.
I love that.
And my success or failure isn't measured against other people. It just never has been and never will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal was in this interview that I saw again yesterday as well. He was asked, like, what's the secret of success? And he's like, I'm a copycat. Like, I saw what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did, I copied it. I saw it, and he like went on and named all these people outside of basketball.
Which is funny because he has his own game, and no one else has done Shaq's game.
Funny? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
He had a deal with New Balance for like $40 million. Might have been I'm pretty sure it's New Balance. He passed on the deal, and then he went and started his company, his shoe company, making affordable shoes. Sold it to Walmart for like $400 million, whatever the case. Like, I would have taken the 40. Like me being who I am. But what he said about the copycat was so right. Everything you want to do, it's already been done. Unless you're doing what Elon Musk is trying to do. Like, those guys are so far ahead. Mm-hmm. You can copy whatever's being done. You can make it yours.
Yeah.
Never copy somebody verbatim. Like, my brother-in-law, he's somebody who I want to copy and emulate. I have friends in my circle like Curtis and Julie and Mike. Like, those guys, I want to copy them, and I want to do it my way.
Yeah.
And I think that in this realm of unhealthy competition, healthy competition is, these guys are better than me. They're all better than me right now.
Yeah.
And there's things you're better than me at. So I want to copy you.
Yes.
And what I see working for you, I don't have this grandiose ego of, well, Judd did it, so I can't do it that way. I need to do it.
Or I'm going to do like him, only better. It's like, no, I love what he does. My thing is, like, when I develop like Mass Method, it's like, none of the stuff I invented. It's like, I see all these people doing this great stuff and it's all disjointed. How can I bring it together so that people can experience what I already know is great? And I don't ever think I made this up. You know what I mean? It's
oh
like,
my goodness, the ego of people thinking they were the first to ever do something.
I know. It's like, and it's
Get
all been
out
done,
of here.
especially with thought, like
Yeah.
stoicism and the right way. It's been done for thousands of years. We're not
Yeah.
inventing how to live a good life.
Yeah.
They've known that forever.
They've known
what
it
we're
forever.
doing is like in the Soviet methodology of training and everything,
Yeah.
and like diet, nutrition, a lot of this stuff people have intuitively known.
Yes.
And the best we can do is discover it, repackage it in a way where people can relate to it now,
Yeah.
and then let them experience what other great people have already done.
Yes. This gets into something I chat throughout the ECA mentorships, like a lot of it's skill set, but a lot of it's personal branding, content curation, the actual business scaling
Yeah, that's
methodology.
awesome, dude.
So,
Yeah.
dude, it's sick.
Yeah.
It's one of one. That's what's cool
Yeah,
about it.
exactly. I don't think anybody else is doing that.
No
yeah.
one else has a skill set in the business. Some people teach skill set, some people teach business.
Yeah.
But most, like TM's we've done very well for 7 years now. This is our 7th straight 7-figure year. No other fitness team in the world can say that.
That's awesome.
And so like, we're combining these two things together. Why does this happen? It's not because I'm unique. It's not because anything. The power of personal brand. You can quite literally copy whoever the Soviets. You can copy that and make it yours, but with your personal brand engine, people are going to buy it because they like you.
Yeah.
Because you have a strong personal brand. You post in your truck the talking videos. You post the text on black screen swipe photos.
Which is funny because people like are copying that now, and the whole reason I do that is because it's simple. I suck with technology.
I copied it from you because I was posting these slides, but they were branded.
Yeah.
And then I noticed Judd never sells anything in his swipe post.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I had this story that I posted, got a lot of feedback. I saved this story, I posted it on my page in a similar fashion as yours, the white text, black screen, no branding.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, this thing is being shared like wildfire.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to share your brand. They want to share your thoughts.
Yes.
They
exactly.
want your brand to be personal to them.
That's a great way to look at it.
And
Yeah.
so I started doing this, and now like I post like 3 of those a week.
Yeah.
It's like I copied you on that.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, those work incredible. And then selfie videos, like if you want to have a personal brand, if you want people to love your thoughts and understand you, 2 things. 1, you need to be posting selfie style videos. Like this content is going to be pretty imperfect and beautiful,
Yeah.
right? People don't buy off this content. People buy off the real personal stuff and feel like they know. You're taking them in your car. I do them in my kitchen.
Yes.
You're inside of my
We almost
kitchen.
call this awkward kitchen talks with Judd.
That's so funny. We should have done
'Cause you know,
that.
like, all the best like awkward talks happen in the kitchen.
Yes, they
Like,
do.
or the
They
bathroom.
do. Yeah. Like in my house, my friends, we gather around the kitchen island.
Yeah.
We're never in the living room, and I don't know why.
Yeah, no.
We're in the kitchen island just chatting.
That's
Yeah. But
so true.
if you're going to put your thoughts out there, which you do an amazing job of, you've got to be ready for people to absolutely hate you and
Yeah.
despise you and say mean things about you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But you don't get to have fans unless you have those people as well.
That's true.
We're going to call them haters because they don't deserve that title. But like, you have to have the antagonist.
That is
as
true,
well.
man.
And you've
it's
done a
just
great
funny.
job of that.
It was hard for me because I come at it in such good intentions, trying to help people. And when you put out goodness and you receive hate, it's confusing. It's like, well, you can disagree. I welcome disagreement, but how does this make you so mad?
Yeah.
You know, why are you so mad? And then also, like, what are you bringing to the table then? Like,
Think
this is
about
a
where they're at
point,
in
offer
life.
counterpoint.
Yes.
Yeah.
They never have it.
If they don't.
Think about where they're at in life, again, as a man, to leave a hateful comment on another man's
That's
Instagram.
insane to me.
Where are you in life?
I've never once done it in my
never
entire life.
once have I done that.
And there's so much stuff I disagree with. I'm
Same.
like, you know?
Same. Never once have I just been in the, you know what? I'm gonna time
So
it
I want you to do
once.
this experiment because
Yeah.
I found it to be, so far it's held true.
Okay.
I call it the 10,000 rule.
Okay.
Nobody that leaves a hate comment has more than 10,000 followers. I've yet to see
Never.
it. Because they're so
Never.
focused on tearing others down
Yep.
that they've never focused on actually creating something and building something. You can't do both.
No,
You can build or
absolutely
you can
can't.
tear down.
Yeah.
You can't do both, man.
What a
and
good
people that
point
make their
that is,
brand
yeah.
on tearing other people down,
Yep.
even if they do it on their own thing to build up their own brand, they're always going to be limited.
That's funny. We should add that to. I have a rule: if you don't bench 315 and you challenge me on muscle building, then I'm not going to listen to you or respond. If you don't have 10,000 followers, something that's worked for me. I want to share this with you. I love this one. You will never see crickets this fast in your life. Okay, I understand. What's your belief? Someone leaves something hateful. Okay, I understand. What's your belief?
Yeah, exactly.
never
Yeah.
is there a response.
Yeah.
Or if they tag somebody else to come fight their battles, like this Dr. Allo guy keeps getting tagged in my cholesterol conversation.
And they never do it. Those dudes never there because they don't have time.
They don't have time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey, I hope that he comes in and chimes in. What's your belief?
Yeah, I would love to talk to this dude because this dude actually, we could go back and forth and have a disagreement.
So
maybe.
Dr. Allo did come on my page and he said some dumb shit. He wrote a book on LDL causing cholesterol, which it does not cause cholesterol.
Yep.
And this has been debunked tons and tons of times. So
but once they write something, they have to stand by it. You know what I mean?
He makes a lot of money on that. He has a course that he sells fully based on cholesterol causing, cardiovascular disease. So again, like that's challenging. It's challenging. Like we can't have a conversation. Like you got your money and your family, as you should.
Yes.
You're looking out for your family.
So I understand why you're doing this. Yeah.
And with as deep in as he is, he probably can't come around to me like, oh shit,
yeah, man,
I was wrong.
So I never want to get to a level where if something comes out and I'm wrong, that I can't say, hey, I was wrong. You know what I mean? And
I agree.
To where and I can't admit it because I got my whole livelihood riding on this one thing, this one piece of information that I'm gonna fall on the cross for.
Tough.
You know what I mean? Because that my whole livelihood will go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't bring religion into something like science. You can't bring your
that's why there's no
science
such. And I'm a Christian, but there's no such thing as Christian scientists because they get the process backwards.
Yeah.
Scientists they have a theory and then they seek to almost disprove that theory.
Yes.
Christians, they have a belief and then they seek evidence to support their belief.
Yeah.
Well, if you do that, then you disregard all the evidence that goes against your belief, so you can't possibly be a scientist. There are a lot of Christians that are scientists, obviously, but if you identify as a Christian scientist, no, you're seeking evidence to support a belief, and that's not how science works.
100%.
It seeks evidence with open eyes, and what it finds, it finds.
Trying to continue to build on itself by disproving other things. It's funny you bring up that component. I'm a very science-based person. My entire life has been kind of rooted in science or dispelling other parts of science. I just don't think it's caught up yet. But as I've gotten older, in my mid-20s, I was like, oh, religion isn't real. That's all fake. That's all. There's been way too many things happen in my life that it's like, this didn't happen. The odds of this happening one time is so slim. And now there's things that are continually happening that I'm manifesting or I'm visualizing or I'm asking for, or I'm praying about, that keep happening.
Yeah.
And I know I'm doing good work. I'm trying to be a good person. You try do the right things, but it's bigger than that. And so I've been in this crossroads for about 2 years of something's happening.
Yeah, people find God in their own timeline, at their own pace, in their own way, right?
Yeah, I'm very much so in that.
My thing as a Christian, we're supposed to spread the word, right?
Yeah.
But people, they spread the word by lecturing people, pointing at them.
I don't like that.
And they spread religion, they don't spread faith.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, all we have to do is live the faith that we say we believe. Live like we're supposed, like we say others should live, first of all. And understand that we all fall short. But, just focus on living, when people see you, they see God in how you live, right? And I've fallen short so many times, right?
Same.
And also, another thing with people is, just encourage them to keep their eyes and their heart open to God.
Yeah.
And eventually He will find His way in. Just don't shut your mind and heart to it. And then eventually you'll see things. They're like, this had to be God, or this had to be something. There has to be something more here.
Let me share this. This is pretty vulnerable. I definitely have not talked about this on an open format, with cameras on. The background on my phone, it says, "I am God," and then there's an excerpt from this magic experience that the CIA did a long time ago. Yada yada. What that gives to me is the power of the way I lead people, the way I talk to myself, my dialogue internally, the way that I communicate with you and other people, the kind folks who greeted me when I showed up, the Uber driver when it was dude, this traffic's really bad, the way that I respond to these things, I am the God of what comes next based on how I'm doing right now in this moment. It does a few things for me. I'm a visionary.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I see that I want to come to life, it makes me get very far ahead and I stop being present where my feet are. That brings me back to where my feet are. And then it also, in my struggle of, I'm a very science-based person. I'm a very logic-driven individual. my life has worked out in a way that there's not a chance something is not looking after me. It's helped me bring spirituality and faith into myself to almost where like I feel like I'm in control of what's happening. Before Reagan won the national championship, Judd, you know how many times I've seen this over the last 6 weeks? I've been in that moment. I felt the hug.
Yeah.
I seen his spray tan on me. I've seen his family. I've seen that so many times. You can't believe in manifest. I don't think you can believe in some manifestation or having these grandiose visions without there being an essence of a God. And we can go into all the like woo-woo stuff with like the other dimensions, whatnot. I abide by that too.
I've just noticed a common theme when people have a dream or a vision and they're not at the center of it, that it's service, that you want to see how happy Reagan is.
Yeah.
You want to see him succeed.
Yes.
You know, you get excited for other people. You want to bring them happiness. As long as you're not the center, your own personal pleasure is not at the center of your vision, I feel like God helps make that happen.
Wow, yeah, I've never thought of it like that. I have very much so been the center of my
I always
vision
listen to
before
what
I was
people don't
younger.
say when I say, what's your 5-year plan and what do you want in the future? I listen to how much they're at the center of it and how much they talk about other people. And it's like, oh man, it's like, I don't know, because like if
Yeah.
we're that selfish, I don't know if God's gonna help you
Yeah.
make that happen, man.
We can't change that though.
No.
I think that it's an evolution. If we're talking to a 20-year-old man versus like, so I'm 31. So like I only know
I
to
forget
a
how young you are,
31
man.
year.
Yeah. The beard and the old soul.
Yeah, I know. Like I only have awareness to 31 years old. I'm sure when I'm 36, it's going to be different. But it's like-
31 was, early 30s was a tumultuous time for me because I realized how much I didn't know. I think
Yeah.
I was a little bit behind you maturity-wise,
Okay.
and I had to confront things about myself. I wasn't as tough as I thought I was. I needed help more than I thought I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I did not have life figured out. Like late 20s to early 30s, I think it's that way for a lot of men, especially ones that mature. You probably matured a little faster because you were a very successful businessman. In your early 20s, you experienced great success and failure.
Yeah.
Younger, I think in our early 20s, we're sheltered from a lot of this. And we just, you know, we have a lot more hubris and we just feel like a lot of it, our accomplishments are just on our own back. We don't see all the people helping us or all the things that didn't happen to us. And then like normally late 20s, early 30s, like bam, like bad stuff happens. And you're like,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm not immune to this shit. I'm not that tough. I'm not that self-sufficient.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
you know, I'm kind of an idiot, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that's when you, for the first time, you can really start to grow.
Yeah.
And I think that just happens at different ages. It probably happened for you earlier in your 20s. You know,
It happened to me about 27, 28. It's funny. It's interesting you bring that up.
I called it my quarter life crisis. You know what I mean?
Dude, absolutely. I was at rock bottom after being all the way up in the clouds. Like all of a sudden you're just rock bottom. And for that reason, I wouldn't wish young success on my worst enemy.
Yeah, dude.
I
that's so
really
true.
wouldn't. I was 25 the first time my company made over $1 million. I kept none of it. I spent every dollar.
That's a
on
very
it.
common story. Yeah.
I
would
was-
have too. Shit.
I mean, I was running through girls and money like you wouldn't believe, because I thought I was just on top of the world. I'm turning people pro. I'm a good bodybuilder myself. I'm winning
Yes.
shows. Everything is so grandiose. The social media is
Life
growing.
seems easy.
It is so easy.
Yeah.
And guess what? My mom wasn't calling. I wasn't calling her. My sister wasn't calling. I wasn't calling her. My niece and I were so disconnected and had no relationship. My dad and I hadn't talked in 7 years. My family and I were so far removed and disconnected. I was like, I don't need you guys. Like, I'm good. Like, look at me. I made it. Now, as of this moment, I have the best relationship with my family that a man could possibly have with my niece and my nephew. I mean, I have the healthiest relationship with my
I think you honed in
girlfriend.
on a key component is realizing for the first time that how much we need other people. And then if you look into that, you're like, man, if I need other people this much, then other people must need me.
Yep.
And then I have to be aware that I need to, because they were there for me.
Yeah.
And I need to be there for other people sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of my energy has to be directed
Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
like whatever your relationship is with your family, they did bring you in this world. Like they did raise you.
That's right.
Whether they gave you good or bad things. I got trauma from my family. You got trauma from your family. Shit, we made it all right.
And being a dad too, it makes you have a lot more grace
I
for
can
our
imagine.
parents. Like all my screw ups as a dad
Yeah.
and like how hard it is. Like I have a lot more grace and forgiveness for my parents. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna have to meet you for coffee over the next couple of years because the next phase of my life is that dad phase. So I need to know everything.
You're gonna love it, dude. It's gonna be the hardest, best time of your life.
And I can't wait for it.
And the scariest, you'll feel the most vulnerable because like panic attacks of feeling like you can't protect your kid. Because you can't every day, all the time. You can't protect them from bullying, from accidents, from pain. And there's times when your son or daughter will be suffering and there's not much you can do about it other than be there for them. And sometimes you can't even be there for them. You're, you know, like not physically anyway. And it is a helpless feeling, you know what I mean?
Especially like you're such a protective, like leader, masculine man. I'm turning that off. Like you're having to manage that.
We got a little joke, me and my girlfriend, because one time something happened, I was like, ah, and then it was quiet, and she goes, ah, I was like,
you were supposed to hear that.
I was like, oh, somebody's in the room.
That's so funny. Yeah, you can't bounce back from that.
No, I was like, oh, you got me. That's me. That's my soul right
now.
Oh,
that's so funny. I love that.
So, you, some of the stuff you talk about is very technical, nutrition and gut and all that stuff. That stuff could go on for days. And I feel like if people want to know that, they need to go hear it from your mouth. I'm more interested in the man behind that and how you grew into this. So I want to take a step back. I wanted to, so we're both kind of from the Midwest, Ohio, right? Missouri, small town.
Very small town.
Just, you know, how did you go, what was your childhood like? How did you go from that small town into where you're at now?
Yeah, this is fascinating. My parents, my mom and dad, they both have recollections. It's actually fascinating to hear. So they split up when I was 12. So like when I'm hearing their recollections, it's like so independent from one another. We would go through the grocery store and there'd be like a jacked dude that I'd just be like amazed by. We'd walk down like the magazine section or I'd be able to buy something. You know, most kids are buying like a Hot Wheels or a Pokemon card. Like I wanted to have like the Muscle and Fitness magazine.
Same, I had a box like this big of Muscle and Fitness magazines, like when I was a kid.
That's just
I thought they were gonna be worth money someday.
No way, they're not. And like I enjoyed doing push-ups. We had a Dreamcast. That was like one of the first. That was like after the N64. Like it was one of the first video game consoles, and then we had the first Xbox. I would go out in the morning. I'd play basketball. I was allowed to play before 7 a.m. because here in the ball dribble, we lived in a neighborhood. Like you don't want to wake up neighbors, whatever. 7:01, I'm out shooting hoops. And then we had all these. I was a quarterback in football, so we had all these like 20-gallon tubs littered around the backyard, and I would like do my passing drills.
That's awesome.
And then I'd go hit. We had like one of the swinging baseball things.
How old were you
when baseball?
At age frame?
Judd, I'm doing this at 7, 8,
so
9.
young,
Like that was my whole childhood. I wanted to ride bikes. I wanted to go for runs. I wanted to do the thing.
Was there one sport in particular you were drawn to more than the others?
Yeah, I mean, I was really good at basketball.
Basketball.
I was very good at basketball.
Were you like a point guard or shooting guard?
I was point guard in basketball. I was pitcher in baseball. I was quarterback in football. Center of attention, can't you tell?
It is true though. That's It's like you don't mind having all of the weight on you at a moment.
I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
And so I thought veins were cool. I thought like eating protein was cool. It was just something that I liked doing. But I saw my grandfather with terrible rheumatoid arthritis, crippling. Like he couldn't pick up this mug. For him to carry a mug, he had to like crunch his knuckles against it, like on both sides.
Shit,
and, like,
man.
Pressure it in together, and then he would.
Oh shit, bro.
I mean, I'm watching him do this.
And
like to take a drink. And I'm just watching him, and he was a great athlete back in his days. And I'm like, damn, how can you go from like where I'm at right now to him? Like, I mean, he couldn't stand, he could eat nothing. So I'm seeing this, and I'm like, okay, so he wasn't born with this. This happened throughout the course of his life. Well, that's weird. There's probably decisions that we can make to prevent this from happening.
And you're a young kid thinking these things.
He died when I was about 14. So,
so you're preteen,
And I was like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, whatever. Like, one day I'll figure it out. I have figured it out. And so I go to school for exercise physiology, University of Cincinnati, learned absolutely nothing. I realized that everyone teaching me knows nothing. So let me take on this 100K debt. And
isn't it crazy? Like I have same feelings coming. And I did have good professors as far as the science goes, like the in-depth science of it. But it taught me nothing about being a coach and nothing about what really mattered about nutrition and exercise. Like nothing.
And if your science isn't rooted in biology or backed by the physiology of how the body works, while I'm here becoming a physiology major, then I'm gonna have a hard time. I'm gonna have a hard time.
Nutrition was the worst.
Nutrition's awful because you can create a study that says anything. Like we have studies that say that whole eggs and red meat cause cardiovascular disease. Come on. Do you understand what these things do inside the body once they get in there?
Mhm.
Do you understand how small, dense particles of cholesterol form in the body? It has nothing to do with red meat and whole eggs. It's about your insulin sensitivity. It's about your metabolic health. What the fuck are you guys talking about? How do you not see? How do you not just simply know this?
And it's just funny, and this is no hate on people, man, or not, maybe.
I'll hate
like when my nutrition professor is 30 pounds overweight and waddles around, it's like, why should I listen to a thing you're telling
I'm
me?
gonna listen to you.
Yeah.
So when I became a little older, I started going to the family doctor who my grandpa was going to. I see my grandpa on all these meds. I mean, he's on so many freaking meds. And again, I'm 13,
And then meds
12,
he has to
14.
take because of the meds he's on.
Yes. And I'm like, this doesn't look right. And then I start going to the family doctor, who's his doctor, who my dad still goes to, although not anymore after Christmas or after Thanksgiving. And I'm like, you're fat as shit.
Yeah.
And you look horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna listen to a thing you say. And he kept telling me, he could see I was working out. He's like, stay away from the steroids. Like, don't ever start steroids. Like, don't. I'm like, okay, well, at the time I'm 15. So I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not planning on it.
Yeah.
Obviously that changed later on. So I'm just looking at all these things and I'm like, I'm now into bodybuilding coach. I'm manipulating people's bodies to have these unbelievable outcomes. And I get really, really deep into the thyroid. And I realize, like hypothyroidism doesn't really exist. Things are just clogged and back up. So you just got to unclog and back them up or unback them up. You don't really need this medication.
But first, T3, T4, here you go, take it.
But they just go to the doctor. The biggest issue now, Judd, they're going to the doctors and they have high TSH and they're putting them on T4 just to bring that TSH down. If you're hypothyroid, your body your T4 doesn't matter.
Yes,
the conversion into T3 is what matters.
Exactly.
That happens majority in the liver. If you are Hashimoto's, your liver is not converting T4 to T3. It's also not going to be detoxifying hormones from the body. And why is this happening? It's backed up because of our gut health.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you get deep into gut health because I want to fix these people's Hashimoto's. And you start realizing, oh my God, every single issue, every single autoimmune disease is caused by what's going on in our gut. And now
it's funny. This is something they knew thousands of years ago. And we're just having to relearn it.
We have to relearn it because when certain families got involved with the pharmaceutical industry long time ago, all this stuff had to be cut off and hidden. And you start talking about this, people hear conspiracy theories. I'm like, no, this is like there.
Also, you trace like the grain heavy influence on the low fat, high carbohydrate, the breakfast cereal. The origins of that were not based on health and science, but it was a religious movement to because like Kellogg and all those crack jobs, man, and they thought like sexual drive was unhealthy for men, but then that took root and then the government started to subsidize that, and now it's like we're saying like they almost have to refute evidence to support an industry that they have to support now. You know what I mean?
Because there's so many billions and billions of dollars, and the huge food corporations and I think the drug makers, I don't think that they should be collaborating with each other on how to do things. And obviously we're in a very poor situation right now. And I know there's some people that think that it's going to change with this Maha movement. I think they're missing. I think some of the things they're doing is going to be great, but let's be honest. Do seed oils cause harm when they are taken in large amounts? Yes. When you have higher linoleic acid intake than you do, saturated fat or omega-3 fat intake, there can be linoleic acids in those. There's going to be issue. There's going to be issue. Okay, so. Bigger than that, though. I mean, all right, let's replace all the seed oils with tallow. People are still eating the foods that are causing the issue right now, so I'm not sure how much difference that makes, although I do think seed oil should not be used in human bodies, and I stand very heavily by that. So the issue where I became very passionate about this is when I had the awakening of, holy cow, my grandpa's arthritis could have been fixed and solved had we taken a simple health first approach. Had we changed the gut, had we changed the liver, had we changed his entire body's enzymatic reaction from a mitochondrial perspective. Can we empower the mitochondria to be healthy so that we can power the electron transport chain to work its best, so we can power body to use food the best? And now I'm having this realization, and I just formed this hatred for his doctor, who was my dad's doctor until I went home for Thanksgiving as well. And I realized, oh man, my grandpa had all these strokes happen, and they were constantly raising his dosage of statins. And then he kept having more strokes. And then what killed him? A stroke. My grandma and I had conversations about what was going on with the medications. And the last labs that there's recollection of, his LDL 61.
Yeah, so it's...
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you guys don't even understand what this does in the body. You don't understand how cell protective this is. You don't understand how immune healthy this is. You don't understand your entire brain's made up of cholesterol.
Yes.
So if your body hates cholesterol, why is the highest concentration of it in the most important part of your body?
It's the inflammation in the cell linings that is the main culprit.
And what causes that? Metabolic dysfunction. It has nothing to do with LDL. It's metabolic dysfunction. Now, this triglyceride reading, like in people's lab work, a lot of men are going to listen to this podcast, so I really want to get this message out there. When you go get your lab work done, you're going to look at the A1C, you're going to look at the glucose, you're going to look at the insulin. We want A1C under 5.5, that's really healthy. We want glucose under 90, that's really good. We want insulin, fasted insulin under a 7, we're going to be pretty good. But the TG, the triglyceride to HDL ratio, this is your driver. You can have A1C, glucose, insulin, all good. If your triglyceride to HDL ratio is 4-1, you are still at very high risk for heart disease. What drives triglycerides? It has nothing to do with fat intake. It's the way your body is utilizing the carbohydrates. It's the refined sugars that you're bringing in through your diet that drive triglycerides. So when someone comes to me and they have these insanely skewed numbers of an HDL of a 36 and triglycerides of 120, what are we going to do? We're going to do a keto diet. I'm not a proponent of the keto diet. It's terrible for long-term thyroid health. But when you come to me with a triglyceride HDL ratio over 4-1, that means you're at high risk of cardiovascular event.
Yes.
Which is basically cardiovascular disease, but in literature it's called a cardiovascular event. You're at high risk. Homie, I don't care about your thyroid right now. I'm trying to make sure that you don't have a heart attack.
Exactly.
We go on a keto diet, we fix this in 4 weeks. We're a carnivore diet, we fix this in 4 weeks, and I'm not a fan of those. But that triglyceride HDL ratio needs to be 1-1 or HDL higher than triglycerides. So if you go and you have high cholesterol, you have high LDL, but your triglyceride HDL is 1-1 or 1.5
it's the ratio, not the amount.
Or HDL higher than triglyceride, you have no issues.
Yep.
And then the second part of this is, okay, men, you go to a doctor and they want to put you on a statin. Just simply ask them to explain the Mevalonate pathway. And when they can't do that, tell them that you'll take their advice once they're able to explain. That's just how
Say
energy,
that one more time.
the Mevalonate pathway.
Mevalonate pathway.
It's just a process of how energy and cholesterol get synthesized inside of your body, how cholesterol can be created inside of your body. And this is statins completely cut that off.
Yeah.
And the downstream effects of this is so bad for us. Mm-hmm. And dude, how many people, I've posted these on my Instagram page before. People start these statin trials and they're developing Alzheimer's, strokes, diabetes, all these things. Hey, it's a $30 billion a year industry. Guess what? They're not going to publish science that they're funding that shows that these are bad.
I'm always like, look at the motive first, right?
Yeah.
If there's a financial motive, right, that their desire to suppress evidence that doesn't align with that motive is going to be so great that it's never going to see a light of day. And it's not just drugs, it's other things too. But like, just look at the motive. They're making so much. I think statins are maybe the most prescribed drug in America.
They're the most prescribed drug in America, and it's the most profitable as well. $30 billion in profit.
They are so quick to put you on statins.
So quick.
And antidepressants too.
Like, dude, I was saying, the SSRIs are horrible, especially for men. Well, the first one is the ADHD drugs. Because like young boys who can't focus, like young boys aren't supposed to focus. Young boys in the education system are set up to be prescribed ADHD. Young boys' brains and how they're operating aren't meant to sit. They couldn't sit here and have a conversation. They're not supposed to.
No, they're not.
They're supposed to go do things.
Exactly.
As you get older, you're able to temper it better. It takes more energy to sit there and do nothing than it does to be active and around all these things. But then you call it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's not a hyperactivity thing. It's a low energy thing. They have to have an outlet. And so then you start the ADHD, completely throttles your dopamine response. And now the pendulum swings the other way, puts you on the SSRIs. And it's like, dude, if we're just surrounded by good community and good people and have a good diet and good gut health, then we're probably not going to feel anxious and depressed. The book Lost Connections, you should get the author of that book on your podcast. He goes around to all these places in the world that anxiety and depression don't exist. So if anxiety and depression do not exist in human beings who are living on this planet at the same time we are, is this a manufacturing of the world we live in here in America?
What are the top factors?
Connection.
Social connection.
Social connection is far and apart number one. Number two, in all of these places, every single person has purpose. What gets stripped of you in America?
This is great.
You go through the education system,
purpose,
and then you go through. You're supposed to work this job at Amazon or Tesla, wherever. You're another number.
The cog in the wheel.
That's all you are, and so there's no purpose. So connection was number one. Having close tribal connection. Purpose was number two, and then number three was family. Like family repurpose. You are going to find somebody or be appointed somebody that you continue our family lineage with. And in this book, he's outlining, I mean, dude.
Man, that is crazy, because when I think about what America lacks, just those three things, right?
Those three things.
Like lack connection. Lack purpose. Most people, if I went up and said, what's your purpose? Like, they would almost take offense to that.
I know.
You know what I mean? My purpose is to make money.
I know.
It's like, no, that's not a purpose.
That's not a driving factor.
My purpose is my family.
But the connection, the connection and relationships was huge. These tribes he went around to, of course, there's not social media there, which helps significantly. Like, we've capitalized off social media, yet when I've really made it, you're not gonna be able to find me. Like, that's the first thing going when I've made it. They have these group dinners, these community dinners, and the dinner gets forged by everyone living through their purpose. Some people's purpose is they go out and hunt. Some people's purpose is they skin the hunt. Some people's purpose is they raise the crop. Some people's purpose is whatever. The only way these community events happen is if every single person has their purpose due at an appropriate time frame for everyone to come together and have this meal. So your whole week leads up to this freaking meal by you doing your purpose.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's like, duh.
You know what I've noticed too is like our lack of connection with our food. We can go through a supermarket and just pick out what we want, right? And I do the same thing. But you know, we don't grow it. We don't pull it out of the ground. We don't wash it off. We don't pluck the chicken or have to kill the chicken. You know what I mean? There's no connection to our food anymore. We don't milk the cow. Like, none of it's us. It's just, you know, the convenience and, you know, and I think that connection to our food led to social connections out of necessity.
Absolutely.
You know?
Sammy and I started going to the farmer's market on Sundays for our meals for the week.
Like, you look at the guy in the face or the girl that grew the food or raised.
And we've noticed a difference how we feel. We were shopping at Central Market before that, which is like the top 1% of HEB, like whatever. I think that's really good stuff. We feel a huge difference, Judd, going over here to the farmer's market. Like you said, like I'm not going to grow my crops. I'm not going to have a chicken coop in the back. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to milk a cow. But I'm looking the man in the face, I'm shaking his hand, or the woman in the face, I'm shaking her hand, of who butchered this meat, did the whole process, and is now delivering it to me to cook. And there's something going on there that like we feel better from.
Yeah. I was reading somewhere like this, they analyzed people's lives that live the longest with the longest health span.
Yeah.
Right. Not just science keeps them alive, and it's they dance socially, so they do unplanned physical movements in a communal setting.
Yeah.
Right. Most of them have gardens that they tend to.
I love that.
And most of them have somebody that they call a best friend that they see every day.
That's so
It's
cute.
like and it has nothing to do with, now lifting weights is crucially important, but it doesn't have to, because you know the funny thing, and I am as big of an advocate for lifting weights that you'll find.
Yeah.
But here's the weird thing, I go to gyms and I just watch people, and I watch these dudes in these 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they have a little bit of muscle, but they don't look like they think any better than people that don't go to a gym. They don't move better.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, I love weights, so I don't think it's the lifting weights that's not working. It's they just lift weights in the same way, the same rep scheme, the same weight, so their brain isn't learning anything new. So they're reaping maybe some of the metabolic benefits from maintaining some muscle mass, but there's no other benefits.
This is interesting. You're so right. Like, I mean, I go to Lifetime every day, like the one that I saw you at that day. It's a nice little walk. Dude, this is really interesting. You're connecting dots for me. I chat with my friends about every time you go for a walk, go a different route. When you go a different route, there's
hiking,
this synaptic activity going on that has
Step
to
over
happen
uneven
before.
terrain, you know what I mean?
Yes, and you should do the same thing in the gym. I mean, that backs your training style, you know, a lot as well. I've been lacking at that significantly.
If you're not going to do that, you got to play a sport, you got to rock climb, you got to mountain bike, you got to do something. Not just from being outside, which is enormously beneficial.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed, like, when I used to hike and like uneven terrain, I would think better the rest of the day. I'd feel more in touch. Like every step, your brain is having to
You're
repattern.
so locked in.
And instead we walk around the same neighborhood on the same trail. We love routine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But our routines lock. And I just noticed, like, certain older people, when you have conversations with them, it's like they're talking at you, and you can almost predict what they're going to say based on what their brain pathways are just locked in.
Yeah.
You know?
They have 60 years of the thought patterns and routine. And
I used to, and I love my dad, but towards the end of his life, I could just almost steer a conversation because he was so predictable on what he was going to say.
Yeah.
And there's just no original thoughts there anymore. And it's just, my dad wasn't part of a system that, you know, it's like you just think the same thoughts.
Yeah.
You stop being curious. You stop listening to what people say and wanting to learn new things.
Yeah.
You know?
Curiosity is a sign of thyroid health too, of metabolic health. Being high levels of who's the most curious people on the planet is kids.
Yeah.
They have the highest metabolic rate, especially young boys.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it goes, the thing we're just talking about, the ADHD, if you don't understand what's going on inside of a young boy's body in terms of how high this metabolic output is, we all see boys that can eat no protein, shit diets, and have abs and like have a little bit of delt cap. And it's like, dude, their bodies are so metabolically active, and building muscle takes high metabolic activity to do as well. They're so metabolically active that somehow they're just staying fit.
Paint me a picture. What do you think happens from that moment in life, let's say age 10 to 12, where the things, is that the kind of age that you're thinking of?
Yeah.
So what goes from there to our early 20s? Like, what is the step-by-step process where we lose that?
Yeah. The curiosity or the metabolic health?
Everything.
They got to go both hand in hand.
How do we go from that, you know, somebody that can squat easily and fall and roll, and they want to know more about everything, and can wake up, jump out of bed, to like,
because we start sitting in comfy chairs like this.
Exactly.
And you lose that hip flexibility because we start, because we're sitting in school for, 8 hours a day, or let's see, 7:45 to 2:45. How long is that? 7 hours? I think 7 hours. So 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, no recess, like no gym. That was done away with when I was in school still. And now it's still kind of
it's a shell of what it was.
We're sitting there, we're playing video games like this, and there's nothing wrong with playing video games. I have publicly said before, like, if you're a man, don't play video games. I've retracted that a good bit. There's hard video games. Like, I'm not talking college football. Stop playing with 18-year-old kids on video games. As bad as I want to partake, I won't let myself. Playing hard video games, man, that's giving your brain a stimulus that other things can.
Man.
Probably similar to the uneven terrain.
Yeah.
But we're sitting like this.
I think it's when there creates an imbalance that it's like your wife is making dinner and taking care of your kids, and you're playing video games.
Like that's not,
you know what I mean? Your son or somebody. Yeah. It's just like I don't know, man.
I do think that the foods that we're consuming, I mean, at 13, 14 years old, like I don't want you thinking about the macronutrients. I really don't. But can we have you think about food quality?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the foods that kids consume, I see what's in high school lunches. I see how
Worse
high
than prison food.
bad food. Damn. Yeah. I mean,
we're still eating the square pizzas. Remember that
that's
they used
horrible.
to feed us?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Let's and the fruit cup. Right?
This is horrible. And so we're putting all these things in the body. You know, obviously at some point the body's going to have nutrition and micronutrients to keep its same level of activity. So we start seeing metabolic rate decline. We stop playing so much because our sports careers finish, or we just simply, we get busy with school. Like you go to college and certain majors are so demanding. You start having stress with relationships, like around 14, 15, 16, girls and boys start liking each other. You start, you know, doing adult things at a non-adult age. It takes your focus away from having masculine friendship, from having connection with your family.
Overconsumption of alcohol is almost a rite of passage.
And then
in
we
manhood.
get into the alcohol.
Yeah.
And now things really
and sexual relations with people you barely know is a rite of passage for young men. It's like, how much can you drink? How many random girls can you screw? Are two very manly things in this country.
Yep.
Yeah, it blows, when you break it down, it blows my mind that we associate those two things with manhood. Right?
Yeah, I wish I could go back to 18-year-old Justin and tell him my challenge for you between 18 and 30 is, can you have sex with 10 women or less?
Yeah.
Can you fucking control yourself?
How much do you know about the woman you're having sex with? If somebody did you a quiz about what she likes, what she's into, what's her family, like what's her passion.
You're checking the box.
You're knowing somebody on a physical level. How much do you know them on every other level? You know, we are obsessed, especially in the Christians, obsessed with no sex before marriage. Yeah. Well, let's start with no sex before knowing the person you're having sex with.
I agree with that. That's much more doable in today's society.
At least know the girl.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know, from a female perspective, it's like a female's vagina has a microbiome of its own. And so you're just hooking up random dudes. This isn't just about the emotional component. There's an actual physical component before that's arguably more important than the lack of emotional connectivity, as your entire body is going to respond to that. And then, you know, I have it happen quite often in my line of work when I'll be like, well, you know, I have these yeast infections, or I'll get this, or I'll get that going on. And this isn't a conversation I have with them, but you can tell, oh, you're probably not physically compatible with people that you're hooking up with. And you would know this if there was more emotional depth.
Man, that's
to
a
the
great point.
First,
I've never thought that's a great point.
before you start going in that realm.
Wow.
When you have a deep, the two intersect at some point.
Yeah.
Two of my friends who met through me are forming a connection, are forming a romantic connection now, and I've seen it happen. Like the emotional connection has come together. They've done a great job, like taking things step by step. And then the physical connection kind of met when there was a certain emotional connection that they had.
The emotional connection makes the physical connection better.
And they've waited to pursue that next step until they kind of been to this point.
That's some like, it's, you know, it's funny that we never look at sex as a form of a way to practice delayed gratification.
Oh yeah.
Right? And you know, it's funny, is more better or is better better?
Yeah.
You know, and with sex, especially young men, they look at more as better. And there's
More
no
is
delayed gratification there.
Yep. More shows your weakness.
It's like, how fast can you conquer, right?
100%.
It's almost like they conquer something.
And that's weakness.
It's weakness.
That's
it's
weakness because you need that validity to be able to keep pushing forward and whatever. But something else, from a physical standpoint, when men are having sex with a lot of partners, they're getting this confirmation bias. So what I'm doing right now is good enough and it's okay. So I don't need, part of a man's drive is sexual partners.
Sure, yeah, it's genetic. We spread our seed.
It's in our, okay. So now the challenge becomes, I'm going to delay this gratification. I'm not going to have this immediate return on investment. What you're going to end up realizing is, oh, dude, I don't actually like that person very much more.
Is this something I even want to invest in anymore?
But then, so then we get into things like I'm not a very big proponent of men like masturbating all the time, because what happens after a man has an orgasm? Prolactin goes insanely high. Prolactin makes us feel lazy. We feel real lazy. Like, now we're not going to get any work done. Now we're not going to make forward progress in the shit that actually builds you into a better man, your family into a better outcome, because we can't stop getting ourselves off or getting off with another woman. So now if you're doing two things, if you're getting off with a woman that you have no emotional connection with and you're getting off, now you're really, that's not
masturbation,
cool.
by its definition, there's no connection there.
None.
Right? There's no connection with another human being.
None.
Right? And so we get better at what we practice at, right? So we practice it alone. Then when it comes time to do it with somebody else, like how good can we be at intertwining connection with it? You know what I mean? It does make sense, though.
And then the trickle down effect is, if you're a man in his mid-20s that might be struggling with women, but you're masturbating all the time, that end goal that you believe is the end goal, because you're struggling with connection, you don't realize there's more to it.
Sure.
You keep getting that confirmation bias that you're providing for yourself. So what motive do you have to go form a connection, to go get uncomfortable and approach the cute girl at the coffee shop? And approaching the cute girl at the coffee shop is more than just looking for a romantic connection. That's instilling confidence.
Yeah.
That's instilling networking skills.
Yes.
When you're the man that can approach the prettiest girl in the room and hold conversation with her and then leave without any sort of straight intentions being picked up on by her, because you are in control of yourself and you just wanted that connection. Honestly, at that point, like you're ready to be a man. You're ready to conquer the world.
I always tell young, that's so funny we're talking about this now. It's not what I intended to talk about, but it's a very good, it's a very good conversation. Because I get asked about steroids a lot, right? By young men. Hey, try to be honest with them. And this one kid working in a convenience store that I frequent a lot, I'm like, hey man, you're young. It does affect your reproductivity and it'll affect your hormones, especially if you don't do it the right way, which I don't know if you're ready for yet, because that's a big investment. I would just caution against it. Because you're gonna want to be a father one day, you're gonna want to have relationships. And he's like, I don't know, man, I'm not really meeting girls anyway, so that's not really an issue for me. And he didn't say it with sadness. That's a fact of his life. And I'm like, but it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way, dude.
Yeah, and I always tell young kids, I'm like, listen, practice hitting on girls. Practice, and it's because it's not what you think. And like, do it knowing you're not going to try to close the deal. Do it with a girl you have no intention of sleeping with. Because what it does is it just, and hitting on a girl isn't like one-liners or crude sexual innuendos. It's forming a connection with a human being. There's practice that, especially one that if there's a physical attraction there, it makes you a little awkward. So all you're doing is practicing forming a connection when you're awkward. And just do it when you don't intend to try to take her home. And then even if you are interested in her, walk away that night. Say, I'll talk to you later. I hope to see you again. Let's plan something. And just like I said, don't try to rush into it. And then that'll make you confident in every other social interaction. Because if you can hit on the pretty girl in the place, you can talk to anybody. You can talk to a CEO before you can go hit on the prettiest girl in the room.
Talking to a CEO is way easier than that.
Oh yeah, it's like
even just walking up, and I'm saying this from a place of I have quite literally done this before. Even just walking up, be like, hey, my name's Justin. I thought you were really pretty, and I'm just like pushing myself out of my comfort zone. So
just be honest, man.
I want to come say, I hope you have a great day.
Men don't understand just being honest with somebody has such a power.
Well, everyone else is lying.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone else is lying to get something that they want. So if you break the pattern, you're just honest. Like, dude, you're already so many steps above. And that's but to your point, and I think one of the biggest cheat codes that we can have as humans is the ability to network. If you can go talk to the pretty girl consistently, you can honestly open any door for yourself just based off of your ability to communicate and connect.
Another thing too is like, when you leave a place, I'm bad with memorizing names. But I will remember people's stories. And I should get better at remembering names. It's very important. But it's like when you leave a place, how many stories did you pick up from? And if not, what was that social interaction? Did you just walk to the center of the room and start telling people about yourself? Because then you didn't gain any advantage, you didn't gain any insight, you didn't grow. Like, I always walk into a social situation and I look for who jumps to the middle of the room and wants, like, hey, here's my story.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're putting yourself out there before you collect any information.
Yeah.
So you're losing all opportunities to understand the social situation, understand who the centers of influence are, understand who the movers and shakers are in that, and like understand how the dynamics, like I always look at the other dudes that kind of like hang back at first and just watch, and sometimes we'll see each other and we'll just like those are the dudes that when they walk away, they're gonna understand what drives that room. Yeah. Right? It's like people, they waste opportunities.
They do. That's interesting. How many stories did you collect? I'm gonna hold that one. I have a cheat code for names though. And my phone in the notes app.
I'm going to use those.
Every single time I meet somebody who I know I'm going to be interacting with again, I'll put where I met them. Because like when you see someone, you can recall where you met them. I'll put where I met them, and then I'll put their name and then details. So like if we met that day at Lifetime Fitness and we didn't know each other before then, I would have said jacked dude using the resistance bands to train. But it would have been titled,
it's gonna be on my tombstone.
Lifetime. There you go. Like Lifetime jacked dude. And then when I would see you next, I just quickly pull up my phone and I saw him Lifetime, and there's gonna be multiple lifetimes. Well, there's not a lot of Lifetime jacked dudes. Like there's 2 jacked guys in the gym, me and you. and so like, that's how I recall names. Yeah. But people are so impressed when you remember their names.
Oh, absolutely, man.
They love
it. Nimitz, Frederick Nimitz, he's an admiral during World War II.
Okay.
So he's from Texas, Fredericksburg out there.
Okay.
He was the commander-in-chief of the Pacific Theater in World War II for the Navy. And at that time, he had 1,000 captains under his command, like ship captains. Wow. He remembered all of their names and something about their family. And he'd have it on an index card, and he'd just memorize it. And so when they walked in, you're captain of a frigate, he'd know your name, ask you how your wife, call her by name, and something about your family. And everybody that met him said it was the most amazing thing they ever.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I've heard similar things about Donald Trump.
Yeah, just he remembers names.
Yeah, remembering little details. Like that makes
it's a superpower.
So special.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make people feel special. I've noticed too with like powerful dudes that are really good, no matter how busy they are, they always seem to make time to have even if it's a brief, intimate, meaningful conversation with people. Yep. They never brush people off. Yep. It's like a magic thing. They just create time to be with people.
Well, you have the power to make other people feel things. We all have this power, not just like this powerful men that have accomplished something. Every single person on this planet has the power to look somebody in the eye, have some sort of connection with them, hope that they have a good day, hold the door, leave them with a smile, compliment them. Like one of my cheat codes is I comment small things on people. So like, let's say like if you had socks that I could see under the boots, I'd be like, hey, I like your green socks.
Yeah.
Or the case might be. Like something else that no one is going to notice. I just love complimenting people on little tiny things.
That's so true.
Like it's easy.
It's like if you have a power and people start to look up to you, you have the power to make them feel really bad or really good.
Really good.
Like why would you not? Especially if it takes very little effort on your part.
Yeah.
Like why would you not do that?
Yeah, it's just it's sharing your energy. Like we all have so much of it. But maybe for me, not everyone has this experience. I'm obnoxious, a little arrogant, I'm definitely an extrovert. It fuels me to see like, oh man, like that means you light up. Like, all right. Like that fuels me. It makes me
it's
so
so
happy.
True.
Yeah.
You know what? It's one thing I tell boys trying to hit on girls or dads with daughters. I was like, compliment something about the girl or your daughter that's not based on physical appearance or what she's wearing.
100%.
Because it's so rare for them. Yep. They will remember it. A pretty girl gets told she's pretty or gets told they like the blouse or the shoes or whatever. By other girls, very rarely like, hey, I thought it was awesome how you opened the door for that person or, and for dads, because this is the thing with moms too, they will judge their daughters and compliment their daughters and promote things physical and appearance wise over, not all moms of course, but they tend to over attributes like you're curious, you're intelligent, you're brave. Like we don't use those for the girls in our society. And especially sometimes dads. It's like tell your daughter how brave she is. Like praise her. I love it when young girls get started off in the gym as powerlifting because they're focused on achievement of physical performance rather than going to the gym to make a body part look better. It's so crucial for women especially. they get the performance taste first before the appearance taste. You know?
Yeah, that's a great point. The brave one I like a lot. My niece is being very brave right now, so I'm going to tell her after this shit while she's in school. I'm going to tell her when I talk to her.
Yeah, and there's
next that
other
she's
ways to being brave other than physical bravery.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You know, she's like 9, and like girls at 9 start like having physical changes, and you know, social dynamics at school gets changed a little bit as well. So she's being very brave right now. The powerlifting noticed something I hadn't thought of. In this society of smaller is better in terms of how, I guess, mainstream media loves portraying women. Yeah, you get in, you're just focusing on like being as strong as you can be, or a little bit better than you were yesterday. The characteristics that's teaching you in life.
Yeah. Growth
Oh
and patience.
My goodness. That's instilling a growth mindset.
That comes from, within, and not what other people tell you you're worth.
Yeah.
You know, based on whatever the beauty standard is at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is always changing.
Yeah.
I mean, how many
like
times
in the 80s, nobody
changed?
worked on their butts, and now,
Good Lord.
now everybody works on their butts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Video promo of gyms in the 80s.
Yeah.
And 90s is hilarious.
It's crazy, dude.
It's so funny. See, I train at about 6:30 in the morning at Lifetime. And very often I look around with this like proud sense of joy that it's about 60-40, about 60% men, about 40% women. A great split. Actually, that Lifetime is the busiest one in America. Did you know that?
No joke, really.
Judd, when I'm there at 6:30 in the morning, I'm appalled at how many human beings are at that place working out at the same time. Like, for most, you definitely wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't like it. I go in there with like, you guys, this is so motivating to me. I can't get any machine right now. I got to go figure other things out.
Yeah.
But like, it's the busiest Lifetime in America.
Crazy. Austin has changed. I want to ask you about Austin in a little bit. Austin has changed in the last decade a lot.
A lot. Yeah, I mean, I moved here, 7 years ago, and it's crazy how much it changed. But yeah, I'll be at Lifetime. Like, there's as many women lifting weights as there are men.
Yes.
But there's as many men in the group classes as there are women. And this is a very good trade-off.
Yeah.
There's definitely more women doing cardio than there are men. But like, this is an awesome
That's one of the really good things. And it's one of the good side effects of social media too, is that I think it has let women feel more confidence walking into a weight room. I noticed the same thing. Way more women lift weights these days.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it is very cool.
It just makes you look good.
Yeah.
I would love to chat about Austin. I got some thoughts on Austin. Do you like it?
Yes and no.
What do you dislike about it?
It's very crowded, and the nature of the people are changing on the fringes.
Okay.
It's a lot of people came here and brought a lot of money here, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And there isn't the same sense of community. There's a crowdedness without the community.
Yep.
You know, and there's just that element there, right?
Yep.
And you know, people on the roads are ruder, and you know, I love California. I don't love all of the people in California. And there's a California feel to Austin now that it did not have 10 years ago.
Okay.
But that also brings an energy to the downtown.
It does.
And, you know, a cosmopolitan effect that we didn't have. So it's not all bad. And different world viewpoints that I like to see coming in here. So there's people from all over the world that are here now.
My one ask, and this is very cliche, and I'm not backing this with a ton of intelligence. I'm not somebody to go to for political
That would be on the
advice.
backside of my tombstone. I didn't back this with a ton of intelligence.
Yeah, I didn't back this with any intelligence.
intelligence.
If I'm giving any sort of political anything, it's not backed by all that much, because that's about how much thought I give to it. The one thing I'm going to hope that happens, and I think based on numbers, it is happening. Don't run away from something and bring the same shit here, because what you're running away from, you cultivated as well. So this is a political statement. If you're running away from what has happened and the mess that is being made in large cities in California, don't fucking bring that shit to Austin. That doesn't mean you need to vote opposite of what you did. It means if you're going to vote for the same party in which you did, make sure the people representing that party are not aligned with the mess being made out there. To this point, I'm not a big Governor Abbott guy. He's done a good job keeping Austin a little bit cleaned up. I have my concerns. Sammy and I are looking at houses tomorrow. I believe I'm going to buy a home tomorrow. that means,
Congratulations.
I appreciate
That's
that.
cool.
That means I'm setting for the next
Roots.
prolonged period where my family, where my kids are going to be born. I'm setting that here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So my one hope, I'm okay with prices going up. I'm okay with it being crowded. I live right downtown, so I don't have to worry about traffic. I don't even drive anymore. Like I Uber out here because I work
That's
in the
another
back
thing.
of the
I'm
car.
more out in the suburbs. It's a little bit different
So it matters to
experience
you
for
more.
me. Yeah, but I'm trying to move closer to downtown or
Yeah.
a different area. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So that's my one hope is that can we have self-awareness enough to realize that we were part of the problem of what we're running away from.
Sure.
So let's be part of the solution, the place we're running to. Now, Austin is very cliquey. Holy cow. This is coming from a place of I'm in a great clique in Austin. I also realize I'm in a clique in Austin.
Yeah.
And
that's so true, man. Like, my girlfriend now, like, she always points out, it's like, no, that's the circle that you ran with. Because I'm like complaining about people, and she's right. Like, it was just a circle that I just need to get out of. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's powerful to realize too.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
circle is very influential and powerful here in Austin, and I'm grateful for that. I also understand there's a lot of people that don't like people in my clique. To be honest, I don't think there's a lot of people in Austin that don't like me. Like, I'm pretty dang nice to everybody. There's a lot of people in fitness that don't like me, as evidenced by the National Championship where I beat everybody and all of them. So now they dislike me even more. But Austin it's pay to play. It's pay to play here. All the restaurants, all the clubs, all the places you want to be, it's pay to play. I mean, where we're going for New Year's, it's $1,000 a head.
very expensive. Yeah.
Come on, that eliminates, even in downtown Austin, that eliminates a huge majority of the population. We are not paying that, thank God. That's why I'm going. I would not pay $1,000 a head for no party. But like, that eliminates a large part of the population. This is happening and it's going to continue happening. But Judd, I was just in Dallas and my crew
Does make you
walked
appreciate
in.
Austin more when you go to Dallas, right?
Dallas is a shithole. Don't come to me with like, Dallas is the best place to live. No, it's absolutely not. My people got turned away. I was at the show. They were going to dinner. They got turned away at dinner because they were in too casual of wear.
Yep.
Your food isn't even good.
That still doesn't happen in Austin that much, thank God. You used to go anywhere in flip-flops in Austin. Come from the lake. You can be in a 5-star restaurant,
It happens at a couple of places, but all they're asking, we could both go like this anywhere in Austin.
Yeah.
100% of places. All they're asking for is like, some of the places I'm involved with, we don't want you in there in sleeveless shirts.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
We don't want you in there in flip-flops.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask? It's also 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Why are you in a sleeveless shirt and flip-flops?
My guns stay up late, baby.
Yeah, they must. Mine go to bed. But it's changing here. That being said, if you're somebody who really wanted to get out of your comfort zone and be around a lot of people achieving a lot of shit in the smallest concentration of area, then you move to Austin.
It is an epicenter for so many different fields, not just business, but like MMA. And now it's more bodybuilding is coming here, and motocross and racing. It's an epicenter. It's one of the most dynamic cities, if not the most dynamic city in America right now.
So I couldn't agree more. This and Boulder, Colorado, they were just named of the week in the two best places to live in America.
Yeah.
Something else, you never see fat people in Austin. When you see fat people, you know they're tourists.
It's crazy, man.
There's no fat people in Austin.
Forget the obesity epidemic until I go to a place like San Antonio, and you're like, oh my God.
I went home for Thanksgiving.
How rare it is, yeah.
I'm back in Ohio. We're walking to the airport, and immediately, Judd, I'm like,
and the funny, the gym culture isn't outlandish here. The gyms are very well used, but it's a lot of outdoor people too. It's a mix of people that, they're just physical in nature.
Yeah, I mean, when I walk to Lifetime, I pass 2 or 3 cycling places, 4 or 5 yoga studios, 2 little side Pilates places. Obviously, Lifetime has that as well. And I'm walking 7 blocks. But it's like the gym culture is normal compared to everywhere else. But I do when everyone's doing Pilates and yoga and pickleball and outdoors and
forget how uncommon that is.
Oh my goodness, dude! Like,
just Austin wasn't really made. just where it's situated to be able to support the population that's here now? Because there's so
Yeah,
much
not
hilly
even
and
close.
limited water access.
I know it's I wonder what they're going to do about that
It's a big problem.
situation. But for the first month, in like 10 plus years or whatever it was, there were more people who left Austin and moved to Austin. I forget what month it was. It happened recently.
Really?
Like, okay, that means we've reached the tipping point. Prices are too high, and now I'm currently in the housing market. I'm getting feedback in real time from 2 large brokers that are my good friends here in Austin. Like, buy within this time frame. Prices and interest rates and everything in Austin is going to be very healthy. I mean, I'm seeing it in the price trends of the homes we're looking at. It's like, okay, we've reached the other side.
Yeah.
Apartment buildings aren't full for the first time in that long. There's condo prices downtown are going down. Housing prices are feasible for.
Don't put that out there like that.
Well,
man.
they're feasible for me. They're feasible for a CEO of 4 companies at the moment.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I love that you have to be doing something to live here, meaning you have to have some value to your skill set. You have to make a little bit of money to live here.
Yeah.
And so everyone you meet can give you a different perspective or a story.
Most people you meet are successful in one form or another. And I feel like I can learn something from I can learn a lot from the young people that come here too, because they're successful in a way that I can't really fathom. I met a guy the other day that he was in his mid-20s and he'd already sold his hemp oil company.
Incredible.
And started a trigger company.
Incredible.
Which is just like something completely different. But he's like, I noticed the marketing is about the same, so I decided to jump into this.
Incredible.
And I'm like, good for you, man. When I was in my mid-20s, like I was working by the hour. I
was the trainer at LA Fitness.
And we have to be able to appreciate things that are outside of what we are good at and just appreciate what other people bring to the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so
good
many
for you,
different
man.
skill sets. Such a melting pot. Like,
It
I
is.
don't meet other fitness influencers in Austin, Texas. Like, there's some. I'm friends with some.
Sure, yeah, I know some.
No one in my clique, though, is in fitness.
And that's good too, man. I love it when cliques are, what's the word for it? When it's like a melting pot.
Like melting pot, yeah. That's
it's
what
just
I'm
different
thinking.
like attributes and people, diverse and like different interests.
Yeah.
And like the only thing that brings you together is you're interested in life and other people.
Isn't that cool?
You know what I mean? And you're also like not too snobby to like listen to other people and sit down with people who don't look or
100%.
sound like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, big in crypto. Another one is a huge plastic surgeon. Another one sold his THC company for a retarded amount of money. Another one is huge in real estate. Like, these are my best friends. Another was huge in digital marketing. And like, nothing brings us together other than we love celebrating life.
Yeah.
We all have different views on so many things.
Yes.
I mean, we don't have similar views on much of anything other than we love celebrating life.
Yeah.
And like, we are going to make this life so fun. In Ohio, I didn't have that. In Ohio, all my friends were bodybuilders or fitness people. And then it's like you're having conversations and you're having the same conversation every time you hang out, every single time you do something.
It's like, don't you want to talk about something other? Like, and there's nothing, there's a few things I love more in this world than working out.
I don't want to talk about it.
Can we talk about something else?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it.
It's like, all right.
Like, you talk about it in your whole, every way that you make money is around this one thing. And so when you're not focused on making money, like, let's talk about.
I'm like, you pay me by the hour, I guess we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way I want to talk about what you bench press or what you used to bench press. Or don't tell me about your fitness ideas. I don't
care about them, I promise.
Man, that's the truth, man. It's like, oh my God, it's like my freaking ear. Or like, they talk about like life stuff, like mortgage rates, but not in like an idea sense. It's just like, so I did this. I'm like, I don't want to hear, like, the Eleanor Roosevelt quote is like, small minds talk about people, average minds talk about events, and large minds. And I'm not saying we're all large-minded people, but let's pretend. Let's talk about some ideas. Let's talk about, if you're not making me laugh, you better be keeping me interested.
Yeah.
Chris
Williamson told me a while back, when is the last time that every person in your circle said something that made you pause and be like, what the fuck did she just say?
Yeah.
I say shit. I say shit. Yeah. Like, I will unleash.
Or like, even, I've never thought about that. Or holy shit, that's something I did not know.
Yeah.
Or
when's the last time you
Or you should be in jail for that. Don't say that.
Yes. Like, yo, be careful saying that.
Bro.
When's the last time that you made me have a visceral response to something that you just said?
Yeah, other than a fucking yawn.
Yeah.
Like, God, that's my biggest thing, man. It's like so much of life is already boring by necessity.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of the reasons I struggle is because, like, you got to do the boring shit. I hate doing the boring shit.
90-10.
So, like, when I go out, I don't want more boring shit.
I want more boring.
And, like, everything, like, nothing is alcohol. It's cool to have it there, but everything is, like, completely based on alcohol.
Man,
and I got to the point where I had to drink just to fucking be able to talk to people. I'm like, fuck.
Austin's an alcohol-heavy city.
Yeah, it is,
It's an alcohol-heavy city, dude. I don't love that about it.
I think America is an alcohol-heavy.
You are right.
You know what I mean?
You are right. And also, I think it's so accessible because there's so many just beautiful aesthetic places that you can go and have private conversations, but in a group of other people.
Yeah.
Based around alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with alcohol being there, but it's like when you feel like it has to be there.
I know.
You know?
I don't love that.
It's like,
I don't love that.
Like, what if it wasn't here, would we still be here?
I know.
You know?
And there's more alcohol than coffee.
Yeah.
Which I don't love.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a place I'm thinking of off the top of my head that it's like, man, I wish I was a coffee spot.
Yeah.
Alcohol is way more profitable, but I wish I was a coffee
Absolutely.
spot. You know?
Absolutely.
Like, I like having conversations caffeinated.
Yeah.
Like, if I...
Just a little cocaine, mostly caffeine, but just
little cocaine. We only did 2 bumps before the show.
Just 2 bumps. It's not even noon, man. I can't...
Yeah, 1 for each nostril.
I'll do 3 bumps for no, just kidding.
Don't throw me with a good time. The prevalence of cocaine in Austin, too.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. But you know what it makes Austin a good
I used
time?
to see moms doing it like kids' birthday parties and shit. Like, no joke. No joke.
No
it's like,
way.
Yep.
I mean, but I don't know. After being around some of the people I've been around in Austin, you realize, everyone does it.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Cocaine is one of those things, man. It's like, I don't think people realize that how it affects your dopamine if you do it on a regular basis once you stop doing it. And for prolonged periods of time.
For very prolonged periods.
Yeah, so that's my thing. I like being, I already struggle with like happiness. Natural dopamine release. Like, I don't want something that's gonna like downregulate my natural dopamine.
I know.
You know, and like, I'm not against cocaine. I'm not against drug. Like, that's a different topic, but just personal responsibility there, and just to understand fully, eyes open, whether it's testosterone, everything else. Like, there's negative ramifications for every single thing, even caffeine. Everything has to be regulated.
Well, all of your neurotransmitters. If you're doing something that is heavily affecting those neurotransmitters, even CBD and THC.
Yeah.
Testosterone is a neurotransmitter.
Everything is a feedback loop. Every single thing.
So it's like, it was so hot 5 years ago to be like, like THC doesn't affect this, and that. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
And I don't need research to show me that the people who smoke the most weed are lazier individuals. And you can get mad about that. I don't care.
It doesn't mean you're not a highly productive person.
It doesn't mean you can't be a highly productive stoner.
Yeah.
It definitely, I've been in my past, I'm not a big THC guy anymore, but I've been a very highly productive stoner. I've definitely had sense of, I need to stop doing cocaine or drinking alcohol because I have no I have negative dopamine right now.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling happiness in walking my dog, so I should stop doing those things. I've been to the extreme in everything. I'm not sure if you have as well, but when you're affecting these neurotransmitters, you can only go so far. There's only so much neurotransmission response that can happen at one time. So if one is overflowing, say like if you're doing a lot of cocaine and dopamine's overflowing, or you're abusing caffeine, dopamine's overflowing, or somehow your gut health is off, or you're taking things that increase serotonin is overflowing. You're abusing steroids, so testosterone is overflowing.
It's a receptors, man. You only have so many.
You only have so many, and it takes away from all the other ones. We need to have a happy balance and live in harmony.
People ask me all the time what supplements I use, and I've been using First Form products for years. They're a Midwest company with Midwest values that I know and trust. My favorite products right now are Enduraformance, their reds and greens, and I love their level 1 whey peaches and cream protein. If you're interested in trying them out, go to firstform.com/Judd. That's PHORM and Judd, JUDD. or click on the link in the show notes.
You know, I noticed that like all we do as humans is we chase dopamine.
We do.
And we can fight that to some extent, but it also like I can decide how I want to chase that dopamine.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's ways to get like stress-dependent dopamine release that is very healthy.
Yep.
And there's ways like stress-independent dopamine that's a rough road because it's so easy to come by. You just want more and more and more.
Yep.
And very rarely do I lead to like stress-independent dopamine chasing lead to a good place.
I know.
And it's funny because like I noticed this in combat too. Like when you knew a dude needed to get out of combat is when the dopamine and adrenaline spike ceased based on incoming fire. Because then they didn't, because like the dopamine and then the adrenaline, it creates clarity of mind. It creates, you know, reactions. Yep. And when that stuff is like, that's kind of part of the combat stress disorder is guys stop seeking cover. They stop really caring. You know, it's like, it's not that they were like shaking in a hole. Wow. It's just like when they heard the shots, they weren't on. You know, and it's like their dopamine and adrenaline, it's just down-regulated because it doesn't create the same stimulus. Yeah. And you should have an adrenaline spike when you hear gunfire go off. And when you don't, you need to take a break for a while.
When I hear a semi truck in downtown Austin drive over one of those metal things and it makes a somewhat gun-like sound.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a natural, healthy human reaction. Right?
How do they come back to society and function in a day-to-day life where they're not in harm's way?
A lot of them didn't, especially back in the day when there was no understanding of it. A lot of them never really did. And part of it is because nothing in the life had the meaning or could stimulate them in the same way. You know, it is back. These guys, for a brief moment in their life really meant something. I'm not talking about the cause they were fighting for, but the dudes they were fighting with, the missions they were on, like really meant something. And there's nothing in civilian world that those guys knew how to find because they didn't have any passions or purpose. Like when a combat veteran comes back, no one said, "Hey, what's your new purpose in this world? Let's find you a purpose." You know, and let's not stop looking until we find your purpose. It's like, hey, really let's make sure that you can make money.
That's so
you know what I mean? And when making money is the purpose, those guys are just not driven for that.
You know any guys like you, friends with any
Tons,
guys like
especially like special operators. You know, like they
that
really struggle.
I can't imagine
because that skill just doesn't always translate.
Yeah. You know? I have a friend who's a special ops guy here, former special ops guy here in Austin, and dude, he'll never he actually might listen to this podcast. He knows you. He listens to my shows. There's not a lot that gets that guy going. It's scary. Yeah. It's scary where he's at. It's scary how lethal he is. And it's scary how disconnected he is from happiness. Dude, this is crazy. And I don't want to like open myself up to help a bunch of these people out. But I mean, there's some very powerful dopaminergic peptides that are currently in existence that I've used myself that I've noticed. So this past Nationals weekend, Friday's my girlfriend's birthday, big dopamine response. Saturday, I win Nationals. Friday, we cleared out our first $100,000 week.
I know you're going with this. You feel like you're.
And now on the other end.
Yeah.
And there was two other huge events happening. The biggest week, biggest year, biggest month, girlfriend birthday, won national championship, made a huge business move that helped us all in the last 3 days.
Crash.
And then I wake up this morning and I'm like, okay, I feel absolutely nothing.
Isn't that crazy?
And I'm like, okay, I need to show up for Peyton. I need to show up for responsibilities. I need to show up for this podcast. And I took a little bit of this. It's a research chemical I've been chatting about in the ECA mentorship. It's called 9-MEBC. And the reason I feel comfortable stating that out loud is because it's very safe to use. Okay. And there's nothing negative that's coming from that. It makes you much more sensitive to dopamine. Very hard to find. Don't slide in my DMs for sources.
There's a few basic ways to affect things, right? You either increase the release of the substance or increase the sensitivity to the substance, right? So this increases sensitivity
to the substance. So I take an ml of that and I just give myself 20 minutes unstimulated time. I sat there in my chairs where I answer my Q&As on Instagram and I just looked out and I pet my dog and I gave myself about 20 minutes. I was like, let's start the day. I had no coffee until I got here. My first move, I wanted to wake up, get on social media, see how much validation I'm getting for winning the national championship, have some coffee, do the thing. Bad place to be because then what happens, Judd, is My girlfriend comes home and I don't have the same excitement because I've been chasing dopamine all day.
That's so intuitive and insightful.
I hate that.
Yeah, that's one bad thing about social media is like instant gratification and
Bro,
dopamine release.
especially
right?
like after this. And it's like, it got to a point last Friday, we had our big, like, we've been searching for a 100K week this whole year. We've been so close so many times. You know how gigantic that is. 100K week,
Yeah.
we hit it. And I see
Congratulations.
notification. I appreciate that.
That's cool.
But I see these notifications coming through and there wasn't anything.
You know, it's funny too, and you talk about gut health, and you know, a lot of people turn to alcohol after that stuff, right? And alcohol can negatively impact gut health.
Yeah.
And gut health is so important to brain health and dopamine release. And a lot of these guys, when they come back, nobody addresses their diet or their habits and how that can negatively affect their happiness. And you know, there's a lot of research around like the mushrooms and things like that too, and for brain health now. And there's a lot of things out there now that I think it would be great if veterans were kind of.
Yeah, I would love to dive into that a bit. Are mushrooms, are ketamine, is MDMA, are these positive things that can help us work through trauma? Yes. We are talking so fucking far down the line, Judd. I get a little pissed off about this subject. I love all of them. They've all helped me tremendously in my life. These are so fucking far down the line that we're talking, it's now politicized. RFK he's just having these speeches about like make psychedelics, you know, widespread, make them use, make them. I love a lot of what he says, but how the fuck are we going to do this when people have horrendous gut health?
That's true. Once again,
what are we doing?
We're putting the cart before the horse.
This is a Band-Aid because, and people are like, well, something that I get all the time from doctors. Well, the serotonin made in your gut doesn't go to your brain. That is correct. So some of it can. That's correct. The serotonin made in our gut is still affecting the communication that our gut has with the brain, and neurotransmitters thrive in balance. So if our gut serotonin is high, what else happens? Our brain serotonin and some feedback loop must match. We live in harmony and balance. If we have poor gut health, if we have candida, or we have H. pylori, or we have SIBO, which way more men have than who realize, and the reason being this manifests far differently in men than women. A woman has SIBO and you see it. Mm-hmm. I'm walking around Lifetime and I'm like, oh, you have SIBO. Like,
what is SIBO? Is it short?
Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So we have a migrating motor complex that's supposed to clear everything out every about 3 hours or so. That's why we're not supposed to snack in between meals. It resets the migrating motor complex. So our small intestine is not a place that's supposed to hold foods. There's evolution has not given our small intestine the ability to combat bacteria and fermentation happening there. But when we have poor motility, which means our bowels aren't releasing consistently enough, which is mostly done in the large intestine before it goes out of your anus, this is one of the healthiest things you can do is poop. And you should be pooping every single day. And to be honest, you should have multiple every single day.
It's crazy to me that people don't.
What?
That's insane.
And they think it's normal.
Yeah.
It's crazy
I've heard people say
that people will find research that suggests that it's not bad to not poop every day. So let me explain what happens if you're not pooping every day. You eat meals, you eat food, and you don't poop it out. That means it's somewhere in your stomach's not going to hold it very long.
Yeah.
It's your small intestine, it's your large intestine, and it's just fermenting and it's building bacteria. But what else happens? When we have poor gut health, we have poor intestinal health, full GI tract. Some of these endotoxins and other things that are supposed to be released in your bowels, they can get picked back up into your body, recycled through your body. And this is when we get things like extreme estrogen dominance as a trickle down of having very poor motility.
Really?
It can cause the estrogen dominance.
Yeah.
Liver gets backed up. Liver's supposed to pull this estrogen through, detoxify this estrogen. That doesn't have anywhere to go. Liver doesn't hold estrogen, so it recycles back into the body.
Wow.
Now we can get higher levels of estrogen. This isn't good for men or women. Having consistent bowel movements is more than food. A bowel movement is how your body excretes other crap, literally, that it does not want or should not house or has been used. So if that's all just sitting in here, what do you think's happening? This is going to continue to ferment. It's going to cause more issues. You're going to get more backed up. We rest and digest in a parasympathetic state. In a sympathetic state, fight or flight. Right now, you and I have caffeine. We're a little more sympathetic driven than parasympathetic driven. People who are taking Adderall, they don't have parasympathetic drive. People who are constantly stressed, So this gets into an interesting point that I want to circle back to with fertility, because we have so many issues going on there. This gets into a cycle of when you are stressed, your blood is in your brain and your muscles, not in your intestines, not as much in your gut. Your body's not focused on digesting. But also, this happens. We constrict. So our bowels will constrict. We're tense. You can see it in people.
And then, also,
they're really tensed up.
absolutely. And then also, when you're always digesting, your body can't focus energies on healing other things.
100%.
Because it takes a lot of energy. Like, even if you are parasympathetic, you're always trying to digest food. Like,
that's an amazing point. That's an amazing point. It hinders everything. And so these people are walking around pissed off or stressed out or whatever the case, or just feeling unsafe. Let's just call it feeling unsafe.
Sure.
Okay, so we can't pass
if not unsafe physically, unsafe socially, unsafe
100%.
Emotionally,
What's this cause? Causes us to have less progesterone. Progesterone is the most important female hormone. It's also a very important male hormone, and we're all progesterone deficient. That's from the soil that our food's grown in, the foods that we eat. We don't have enough natural vitamin A, which is a precursor to progesterone, low cholesterol, poor steroid synthesis, so on and so forth. But we're in this sympathetic state. We're going to have a much more alert. We're going to be on edge. When you're on edge, what kind of state you live in? You're in a state of scarcity too. You're not living in a state of abundance. You don't have positive self-talk. You're not manifesting things that come to you in this life. You're not attracting opportunities. You're scaring everything away. Scarcity thrives with getting more scarcity. Your body, your mind, if we believe our mind is God, like I do, our mind is going to continue finding these things. So if I come to you and I'm stressed about like first of the month,
and stress
coming.
People feed off stress too. Like, stress people.
So what's your friend group?
Yeah,
you're all gonna be stressed out because you're only gonna attract.
Isn't it funny? I see that.
Yes,
I see that. Yeah, absolutely.
My friend group's is abundant.
Yeah,
we're abundant. Stuff is flowing to us. Homie, we had our biggest year ever this year. We 4x this year in 2 times. I've personally run out of my money.
Yeah,
because I made so many fucking investments in this shit. Yeah. You know what I did? Damn, it's going to pay off down the road.
Yeah.
I didn't let myself get stressed.
Yes.
I let myself get uptight.
Yeah.
You've got to attract what's coming next. So this all trickles down from our gut health, because our gut health is so bad that our bodies are so stressed, our liver is so
rubber
stressed.
To the road, something that's accessible to everybody and every socioeconomic class that has all different types of time availability, right? What are the top 5 things in any field, diet to anything else, that a man, or a person can do, if it differs, men to women, can do to enhance their gut health?
Phenomenal question. Circadian biology. We need more talk about circadian biology. I'm not an expert in this field, which is why I don't talk about it much. I am fortunate to be friends and have mentors in this field. If I had terrible gut health and I could not afford a coach, I'm going to first start just simply eating according to light. For 400,000 years, we didn't have SIBO. We didn't have gut health issues. We were eating when it was light outside. Your stomach has a circadian rhythm. We think circadian rhythm is a brain thing or a melatonin or pineal gland thing. Your stomach has one too. We are supposed to eat when it's light outside. I don't abide by this. I've had gut issues one time ever as my last prep. My coach had no fucking idea what to do, and that's when I really tripled down on becoming a gut health nerd. If I had gut health issues, I would eat when it's light outside.
Great.
This costs $0.
Yeah.
Along with this, I'm going to get my eyes in the sun, and I'm going to make sure my eye, not sunglasses, not through a window. Go get out in the sun. Your skin, your eyes on the sun. Don't hit me up with, I live in cold weather. Get out in the sun. There's still sun that rises in the morning. I know that it's cold and that sucks. Get out in the sun. Number 2. One last trickle down, circadian biology, go to bed, wake up, same times. The more you go to bed before midnight, the better your sleep quality is going to be. Okay, so that's number 1, it costs $0. Number 2, I would put apple cider vinegar at number 2. I love apple cider vinegar betaine HCL. Everyone has low stomach acid. If you're Hashimoto's, what's the root cause? Stomach acid. If you have arthritis, what was the root cause? Stomach acid. Any autoimmune disorder has a root cause of poor gut health. Every single one of them.
How do you consume? How would you recommend consuming apple cider vinegar? Is there a preferred method?
People are like, well, like I'm worried about my teeth, enamel, stuff like that. This is very fine and fair. Dilute it in some water. Personally, I'll just chug it bottoms up. I have great teeth health. I've never had issue with it.
If you cook with it, will that ruin its effectiveness?
I would not recommend. I don't want it to get a high heat point.
Okay, got it.
I don't know this for certain, but everything
mixing
has
it with hot water, maybe.
Yeah, I like the water or tea.
Okay.
Make some lemongrass tea.
Okay.
Which is also very good for digestion. Put some ACV in there, and it'll be.
This is and I don't want to interrupt you. I want to keep it. This is one of the stumbling blocks for men, though, is they believe these things are unmanly. They believe, from a working class background, drinking lemongrass tea or drinking tea is somehow unmanly. Yeah. Like, and
let me spin this for you. It's unmanly. Okay. So we're men, we're manly, we're leaders of a family. Leaders of a family should be leading by example, but should also be looking out for the family. And the longer that you're around and the healthier you can be, the more physically able you are, the more manly you are.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why I believe every man over 30 should be on testosterone. Why not? What's the downside? And no, don't miss me with the cardiovascular risk stuff. We have so much disproving that, just backed by biology and physiology and now science as well. So this makes you be able to better provide and stick around for your family. It also leads by example. Hey, I have low stomach. I got a problem. I got low stomach acid. So let me go fix this problem, because men fix problems. Isn't that more manly to fix a problem? So spare me the drinking tea stuff.
I like it. Yeah.
Like, we're fixing problems.
I like
and we're
it.
leading by example.
I like it.
Apple cider vinegar. What's this thing cost? Like $5.
Yep. Very affordable.
Cheap. I prefer my clients use betaine HCL and Pepsin.
Okay.
We'll take 1 cap with a meal. That's HCL hydrochloric, or the acid in our stomach is hydrochloric acid. That's why ACV works so well. It's acetic acid, but it's the same pH as hydrochloric acid. So inside of our stomach, it acts the exact same as hydrochloric acid.
Okay.
So anytime you have heartburn.
What's the best way to obtain that?
Just through, I ordered it on Amazon, but it's going to be available at any store.
So say it one more time, what it is?
The apple cider vinegar, or the betaine HCL.
Betaine HCL.
Betaine HCL. Yeah, just order it on Amazon.
Cool.
But one of the big items that men has is you'll start getting heartburn. That's due to low stomach acid. It's not caused by high stomach acid. You're going to be put on a proton pump inhibitor. Heartburn is going to be gone. The issue becomes that lowers your stomach acid even more. The reason you have heartburn is because the sphincter closes only when your stomach has a high enough pH and acidity for it to close. So now we lower the pH of the stomach, and the sphincter is still going to be open, but the acid won't get into the sphincter,
Gotcha.
so you're not going to have heartburn.
Gotcha. So we're not fixing
the issue. But now the issue becomes we have low stomach acid, we have slower digestion, worse digestion. Now we have low thyroid. Now we have less micronutrients. Now the downstream start. Next you can put on T4 because your TSH goes so high. Next you know.
It's great for pharmaceutical companies.
It's great for pharmaceutical companies. Next you put on metformin because your glucose is high. We all know what happens.
It's funny the cascade in effects that we can see happen from.
Yeah, it's PPI into statin. Or T4, and then the other one will come next, and then it's metformin, and it's just so on and so forth.
So that's 2 things. What's the third?
Yeah.
Is there
So number 3, the more fermented foods you eat, the healthier you are. The issue is if you start eating fermented foods and you get really bloated, that means you have SIBO already, or some sort of bacterial overgrowth, because that fermentation is all of this bacteria that's already fermenting is now ultra fermented.
It's funny. I think that's one of those things that we're just now starting to understand how beneficial. And I feel like they knew that for a long time. Some of those forgotten things. Yeah. And then we analyze cultures that really have no right to be as healthy as they are.
Yeah.
Like, Soviet and Nordic countries where they smoke and things like that. But they still, as far as cardiovascular events, they still die of cancer and the things from like a poor healthcare system, things like that. Yeah. But like they're very healthy. They tend to be, and they do high intensity sports. It's much more prevalent in Russia, and much more fermented foods in their diet.
The more fermented foods you eat, the healthier you are.
Yeah.
Get rid of your probiotics. They're not doing anything for you. They're wasting money.
Mm-hmm.
Replace them with fermented foods. It's going to save you $50 a month. Fermented foods have trillions of bacteria in them. Most we don't even know.
Yeah.
Your little 30 billion CFU probiotic is really cute next to fermented foods. your gut is also going to take what it needs. Your gut, when it's healthy,
Yes.
it's going to take what it needs. So maybe not all those strains are going to be put to use, quote unquote. It's not like a one-to-one how it works, but for layman terms, put to use. And that's going to go through your gut. It's going to be able to feed beneficial bacteria, and it's going to be able to help us have better digestion and better health. But it is fascinating. This is 100% anecdote. No research on it yet. The mental health effects of men and women who start consuming high amounts of fermented foods
Really?
makes me emotional even thinking
What are your
about.
preferred sources of fermented
I
food?
love kimchi.
Kimchi?
I love kimchi. I love sauerkraut. I love kimchi because I'll just eat it with a meal. Like, it's delicious. Like, get a good kimchi. It's absolutely delicious. Just eat, an ounce or two with a meal. It also helps with blood sugar response. Helps your body better digest and utilize the meal. I love kimchi.
It's really funny, man. I just feel like fermented foods kind of took care of themselves back in the day because out of necessity.
Yeah.
Right? And now it's not, they kind of fell out of favor and they were just associated with unhealthy things.
Yeah.
Because something we preserve and then we hear preservatives and then it's like, no, it's a preserved food. And I think we get it confused in our brain what the nature of that really is.
That's a great point.
The preservative on a shelf
Yeah.
is much different than preserving a food like they've done for thousands of years, right?
And what's really cool about fermented foods, we'll use it in a prep setting. If someone's cravings get pretty bad, it's typically going to be a little bit of a candida overgrowth happening.
Okay.
But we'll use fermented foods, and it's funny. You'll have like a fork full of fermented foods, and I'll say you don't really have that craving anymore.
Really?
And dude, it's fascinating.
That's awesome.
Fermented foods are a huge cheat code, and they're relatively inexpensive.
What's your opinion on like dairy, like yogurt and things like that?
Love them, but it's like, can you use them well? And this is a great question you asked. If you have food intolerance and you are not metabolically flexible, you have metabolic insufficiencies, we can fix those. When I started dating Sammy, she was terrified of dairy. Now we eat dairy again.
Yeah.
Like, she had terrible IBS-D. She was on hormonal birth control. She had a history of SSRIs. She was a product of the pharmaceutical industry.
Do you want to go down the birth control realm or?
Let's go. Let me finish out these
two more,
health ones.
Yeah, you got two more?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to make sure that these are things that are super affordable and widespread as well. So we have the circadian biology. Oh my goodness, I have one. Dude, another unmanly thing. Huge cheat code. As soon as you try it out, you'll never go back. Eat your meals with your phone out of reach. Dude, if this might be number one. Eat your meals with phone out of reach and with soft, calming music playing. We talk about sympathetic versus parasympathetic. Soft, calm music playing.
I love it.
Chew every meal or every bite until it's smoothie-like, and all of a sudden your gut health issues are going to be gone.
I love it.
Dude, it's fascinating.
Love it.
Meal hygiene. It's just meal hygiene. We have sleep hygiene. We have dental hygiene. We have.
One of my pet peeves is eating on the go when I'm stressed and people talking about stressful things when I'm eating, and then I always get an upset stomach. I'm like, oh, it's like.
So if we have to eat on the go, this is a great point. Eat on the go. Can we be mindful?
Yes.
Can we eat without can we still eat with the music? Can we still eat without our phone? Can we be mindful of, I'm not eating in a perfect situation right now, but I'm going to focus on breathing through my vagus nerve and my belly to try and be as calm as possible. And again, this might sound too feminine or not manly enough for
No, I love it, man. Yeah.
This will make a huge difference, and you're just going to feel better. You're going to connect with the food better too. And this, I think that is a huge game changer and something I give a lot of my clients.
I love it.
Reagan and I had this talk during his prep. He owns a huge construction company in Omaha. And we had this conversation. All of his meals are on the go.
You know, it's funny, you look at societies that tend to be healthier and live longer, their meals are much more relaxed in a relaxed setting. They create an environment around mealtime that promotes relaxation.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about that.
Absolutely.
I really think there's something to be said about that. My last hack is going to be coconut oil.
Okay.
And I there's other things that like would be more meal specific or hygiene specific or whatever, but I have to put coconut oil in here. We have so much data backing, and then I've seen it in my clients, the profound effects of coconut oil and the positive things that it can do. Virgin raw coconut oil.
Just is it because it's a medium chain triglyceride, or is it
That
more
has a
than
lot
that?
to do with it.
Okay.
So there's brain health effects,
Okay.
but then there's also health effects for every single type of GI issue there is.
Dude, I'm going to implement all of these.
Dude, coconut oil is insane. In every one of my clients' diets, there's going to be coconut oil in there. But also, we have real balanced meals, protein, carb, fat.
I used to let coconut oil would help with my cravings too. I felt like I was getting something creamy in that was like satiating. You know what I mean?
It's delicious.
Yeah, it is. I really do love it.
Any sort of fat is going to delay the glucose response from a meal or just make it less harsh, which is going to be good.
I know there are no bad foods, right? Are there any foods or type of foods that you just aren't crazy about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We live in a world where a lot of people like prepping foods long term. Pre-prepped rice that's sitting for 3-4 days in the fridge will cause issue.
No way.
It will
something
cause
I didn't know.
issue.
That's wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to cause issue. It's the starches become why can't I think of the name of it right now? Resistant starches. And your GI tract greatly inhibits the breakdown of these. I used to think this was like woo-woo BS that Barbara O'Neill was like pushing out there.
Thomas Flowers talks a little bit about this on the prep for potatoes and things, and how you prep them really matters. And
it absolutely does matter. Rice needs to be cooked fresh. I mean, I've coached the most elite bodybuilders in the entire planet, and I've seen it happen. I've seen the gut health happen.
How long can they sit? A few hours or what? Yeah,
I tell my clients, like, I don't love them being refrigerated and reheated overnight, but we need to keep this to a 2-day thing.
Okay, all right.
So you got a rice cooker. It's easy. This takes you 2 minutes.
Is there any food that shouldn't sit? Any other food other than that you can think of?
I think any white starch is probably best bet. But all these are easy to be made right away. Man, as far as like foods that are kind of no-go, I hate being that guy, but I have kind of become that guy. Sourdough bread is a huge thing for me. I love sourdough bread. It's one of my favorite foods. It's a fermented food too. How's come when I go to HEB, it's got 9 ingredients? Sourdough bread does not have 9 ingredients, it has 4. So if this just doesn't make sense, I think
that is a common theme across a lot of different foods in our country. That the ingredient levels, that it's not the food, it's the
ingredients.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to become this ingredient Nazi, but look at the back. Does it make sense? Yes or no? You don't need to be a food expert. I don't need to elaborate on that anymore. Does this make sense? Yes or no? No. Okay, back.
That is a shame because sourdough bread is a very healthy food.
Get it from the farmer's market. Get it from the woman who needed it and did it herself.
That's unfortunate.
But it's a health hack food, like you said. Another one I'll throw in there, like coconut oil, fermented foods with sourdough bread, raw honey. These are all cheat codes.
Yeah.
They're absolute cheat
I read
codes.
somewhere honey is like real honey. It's crazy. Some of our honey isn't freaking honey. That's insane to me. It's insane. And they can legally put that out there, that it's not actually from bees.
Go look at the ingredients on your honey before
It's insane.
You buy it. Yeah.
But honey was supposed to be one of the superfoods for a lot of different reasons.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I would say without a shadow of doubt it's a superfood. And then another one's red meat.
Yeah.
Red meat. Only positives, no negatives. No, it does not cause freaking heart disease to happen.
Isn't that crazy?
Like red meat is an absolute cheat code.
What do you think about the World Health Organization declaring it carcinogen? Isn't that insane?
Who's out against nicotine? Whose thing is against nicotine? Nicotine's anti-parasite, it's anti-cancer, it's the thing that the pandemic that we were all sheltered.
Nicotine's been around a long time before cigarettes.
Way
do you know what I mean?
Cigarettes are terrible. Nicotine's amazing.
Yes, and it's not the nicotine in the cigarettes.
Nicotine has so many health cheat codes.
I think Peter T is one of the ones that uses nicotine as a ergogenic aid before he works out. Stuff like
I do. After this show.
And it's one of those things you can control the effect by the dosage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
After this show, when I dive into work for the mentorship today, I'm going to take a 6 milligram pouch. I'm going to put it in my mouth, and I'm going to feel locked in. Now, there's a dopamine response that we have to be.
Sure, you have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think we need to go over 12 milligrams 3 or 4 times a week. I think that's kind of an upper limit threshold type of situation. But nicotine's fascinating. When the pandemic was going on, there was doctor, I probably shouldn't say his name. I got kicked off of. I got deplatformed for going deep into
You know you're doing
this.
something right when there's
So,
places you
saying,
can't go anymore.
Yeah, Stripe, PayPal, YouTube all kicked me off. Oh, that means I'm right. He started treating his patients with a nicotine pouch, and he saw no matter where they were. This was in an ICU. Within 5 days, they were all home.
Really?
It's that powerful. It's
Wow.
anti-parasite. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's
Wow.
anti-cancer. It's anti-fungal. It's anti-everything bad and it's pro-everything good.
You notice a lot of cultures from around the world would chew on things that had nicotine in them, not just the tobacco leaf, but other forms of plants. And like a lot of health-associated benefits people would notice in those cultures.
When you look at the top longevity countries in the world, USA is very far down that list. I believe we're about 79 years of age. There's many over 80. And then you put that list side by side with highest pure nicotine consumption in the world, pure nicotine keyword. It's an identical.
That's crazy.
It's a near identical. And yeah, it is that powerful. So you can talk about, well, what about this and that? Those are all great. This thing is actually that powerful.
I want to dive deeper into your assertion that every man over the age of 30 should use testosterone.
So what makes us a man? There's testosterone, and then DHT is what really makes you a man. My understanding is when male sex characteristics are being formed, that's due to DHT in the womb, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what causes a penis to become. So as you get older, testosterone levels naturally decline, but DHT conversion through 5-alpha reductase increases. This is very negatively and wrongly correlated with hair loss. In very tiny amounts of people, as DHT and hair loss go hand in hand. I'm the first male in 5 generations in my family that has hair over the age of 30. And I can promise you, with my Anadrol, Winstrol, Anavar, and Primobolan usage, that my DHT has been exponentially higher than anybody else's DHT.
I'll go over some benefits of high DHT, though, as far as strength and sex drive. And
all the strength, sex drive, masculine characteristics like the jaw, the cheekbones.
it's one of the things that women can take too, right?
Yeah,
Where if you
yeah.
masculate,
So
DHT-based steroids.
Yeah, DHT like Anavar is a very common one. Like that's a DHT-based steroid, but when you start overdoing them, then like the virilization quickly occurs.
Sure. Okay, got you.
And women, a testosterone is going to have less male virilization risk than a DHT will. And it's not easy for everybody to hear, but like testosterone is much more naturally occurring in a female's body than a female's body undergoing 5-alpha reductase and making them have high DHT. So with hair loss, having high DHT is not one of the main drivers for majority of people's hair loss. Low thyroid function, low micronutrient functions, poor circulation to the scalp, all these things which can be fixed. I have a whole thing on the ECA mentorship about this that blows mentees' minds. We were like, wait, like we can save our guys' hairlines and girls by doing this?
That's crazy because I believe until just now.
Don't fucking use finasteride. If you're a male on finasteride, there's better chances. Finasteride cuts off DHT conversion in your body.
That's
the first thing a doctor is going to give you when you start getting hair loss.
Okay.
It cuts off DHT in your body. Finasteride works for 25% of people, but 20% of any drug is a placebo effect. So how many people is it really working for? So finasteride shuts off DHT conversion in your body. DHT is what makes you more of a man. DHT is the male hormone. Progesterone is the female hormone. Women and men both have testosterone. Women both have estrogen. Men are supposed to have progesterone higher than they do. Women, that's their main thing. Women have very tiny amounts of DHT. Men, when you're over a certain age, that's kind of your main thing. And so cutting off the thing that makes you a man, it definitely makes society easier to control.
Yeah.
But man, it's bad news. Do not use finasteride. We have better ways to go about things. Check your thyroid function using the body temp and pulse rate test. I talk about this all the time. Your labs are lying to you. The body temps and pulse rates are not lying to you about your thyroid health. So when we go over the age of 30, actually now, we're seeing 26 testosterone levels are declining in men. This isn't all men's fault. But there's a lot of cofactors to this. But the reality is, Judd, we have this range of testosterone deemed acceptable that's fucking pathetic.
It's 300 to 1,000, or is it
300
is that
to
outdated?
like 810. If you are under 800, you need higher testosterone.
And then how important is the free testosterone? And then why is that not?
Yeah. So the total testosterone is important because we can manipulate more of that into the free testosterone.
Okay.
We have sex hormone binding globulin.
What's a good free testosterone? Do you know?
I like total testosterone being around 1,200. I like free testosterone being about 200.
So you like total testosterone natural than what is considered super.
Yep. Super physiological.
Super physiological. Yeah.
900, 1,200. I love 1,200. Personally, like I'm gonna say around 1,300, 1,400.
How much does a normal man have to take in milligrams per week to achieve 1,200
Yeah.
on average? I know it varies.
Most guys are going to be pretty good to go around 200 to 300 milligrams per week, and that'll get you to that 900, 1,200 range. It's going to be very dependent, but we need to focus on sex hormone binding globulin, and we need to focus on thyroid health.
Okay.
If we have shit thyroid health and we're taking testosterone, it's interesting. You'll start seeing, well, sex hormone binding globulin isn't too high, and this testosterone's like not quite getting where I want it to go. But you're going to see low metabolic health function. Metabolic health is still the driver of everything that we do. We have insulin sensitivity. We have thyroid health. These two things have to be adequate. If you have really high insulin and you're trying to have high testosterone, your body has many feedback loops to make sure that it stays in some sort of relevant ratio.
So what most guys are going to think, like me, estrogen conversion.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that?
Yeah,
when you
absolutely.
start exogenous testosterone, should you try to control estrogen conversion? How do you do that?
Yeah. Estrogen is good for us too.
Sure, you don't want too low.
Estrogen is good
Yeah.
for your libido. It's good for your mental operations. It's good for your joint health. It's great for adding muscle.
Yeah.
Estrogen is very important for us. When we start seeing
Heart
estrogen
health too,
over,
right? Is
like,
that right? Heart health, very
great
good
for heart health. It's
yeah.
great for all organ health. It's
Yeah.
cardioprotective. It's
Yes.
organ protective.
Yes.
It's great for our lipid health when it's in the right ratio.
Yes.
So you go to a doctor and they're going to put you on, whatever testosterone put you on, they're going to give you Arimidex too. I don't like Arimidex. I like Aromacin way more. Arimidex just stops the conversion so that estrogen can still free flow in your body. Aromacin is going to allow that conversion to happen, and it's going to kind of like explode, for layman terminology, and kind of eradicate it.
Okay.
So now Arimidex, your liver sells a large part in getting that estrogen out. Aromacin just makes the body work a little bit easier in getting the estrogen detoxified from your body.
Okay.
Right? I love Aromacin, not a big fan of Arimidex.
Gotcha.
So if we have, estrogen at 20 and our testosterone is 900 or 1,000, that's out of ratio. We want to work in some sort of symbolic ratio.
What's a good ratio?
I like 15 to 25 to 1.
Okay.
So testosterone 15 to 25 times higher than estrogen.
Okay.
So around that 15 to 20 markers where I find most people,
So
around that
test is
20,
1,500, estrogen 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, that's a great question. As we start getting that estrogen up to that point, it's all symptomatology.
Okay.
So you might hear like 100 estrogen. Yeah, I've got guys feeling amazing on 100 estrogen.
Gotcha.
Because their testosterone is so high.
Gotcha.
Now,
so just like HCL, LDL, it's about the ratio.
it's all about the ratio. When we're doing anything inside the human body, the neurotransmitters was all about the ratio. The cardiac health was all about the ratio. The sex hormones are all about the ratio. All about the ratio. Our gut health is all about the ratio. What's the ratio of good
If
bacteria
my
to
team's
bad
in that
bacteria?
third side, it'd be all about the ratio.
On the third, we'll have that on top. It's all about the ratio.
It's about the ratio.
So as we get that testosterone level higher, it's going to be all symptomatology, which is what we should be basing these things off of anyways.
Yes.
So maybe around 1,500, you're probably going to end up best around a 70 or 60 or an 80 estradiol rating.
Gotcha.
And we're still within that 15 to 25 to 1 ratio metric. At the lower the testosterone, so like testosterone.
So in your experience, if somebody's taking 300 milligrams of test a week, do they need to be on an Aromacin?
Not
Almost
always.
all the time. Not always.
Because if we just support liver detoxification,
Gotcha.
commonly we're going to see things that are positive in that realm. It's like TUDCA, calcium D-glucarate, SAMe, milk thistle. I love all of those.
Okay.
I love them most in tandem. Obviously, glutathione is fantastic for liver health. DIM in itself is plenty powerful for most people to just use alongside testosterone.
Gotcha.
So we want that. If we're at 1,000 testosterone, I see people feeling really good around a 45 to 60 range in estradiol.
Gotcha.
As the testosterone goes up, there's going to be an upper limit threshold. I do have guys around 90s, 100s. I'm thinking of the blood work I just assessed on Friday of a mentee who's feeling really good, and he was at 102. We do start getting a little high around that range. But also, that being said, there's some guys that they'll be at 1240 and they don't feel great.
Yeah.
And so we actually have to bring that estrogen down a little bit for their libido to be where it needs to be, for mental health to be where it needs to be.
So now let's put things in perspective real quick. We're talking about 300 milligrams a week, higher end, compared to what's a normal bodybuilding cycle. Let's say for a competitive high-level bodybuilder, what would be a milligram per week for that?
Well, I wish I could use Reagan as an example, but many times throughout this prep, he was like, dude, this is the lowest amount of PEDs I've ever freaking used. It's pretty common to see 2 grams a week in a high end.
That's 2,000 milligrams.
2,000 milligrams
versus 300 milligrams.
Yeah.
So when people
300 milligrams. When I see people talk about 300 milligrams being cheated, I'm like, you have no idea.
Okay, so let's put this in perspective. What we're talking about here: therapeutic versus performance enhancement. And then we have to wrap it up soon, unfortunately. I didn't manage time very well. But what's new, right?
What's new?
But are there any other anabolic substances do you feel like are healthy for humans? Now, we always hear trenbolone, right? The most powerful one.
Don't recommend.
Exactly. Or halotestin.
Yeah, definitely don't recommend.
Or Anadrol. I don't know.
So I love a little bit of Anadrol.
Okay.
And people that I really trust. Just take them pre-training. You know, if you're not a competitive bodybuilder, you do not need to go over 50 milligrams of exposure to Anadrol.
What are your favorite 3 most therapeutic and beneficial steroids that you like?
Favorite 3, number 1's going to be testosterone. Man, honestly, therapeutic, I can't give 3.
Okay.
What
really about
can't.
DECA?
I really can't. Okay. I don't love it.
And what about
like
Anavar?
A little more. Anavar's cool. It's good. I like more ancillary things. Like an SLU-PP332. That's a new peptide that is freaking amazing. Great. It actually acts on estrogen reception.
Okay.
But it's an amazing.
What about things like Proviron and stuff like that?
Oh, I do love Proviron.
Okay.
Amazing for sex health, can be very positive for mental health as well. So I guess that would be number 2. But then after that, there's just going to be ancillaries. I love 5-amino 1-MQ. It's absolutely fantastic for our metabolic health. And the SLU, like I mentioned, growth hormone is only positives. 1,2 I use for anti-aging is spectacular.
What about like MK677? That
I like MK677. I only use that in my bodybuilders who are really serious people. Another peptide, I mentioned the 9-MEBC earlier. The tocilifene is really nice and has great dopaminergic activity as well.
Great.
So yeah.
I could talk about this for everything for days with you.
Same.
We got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So 2 things. If you could hang out with one athlete or competitor for a day, who would that be?
Man, that's a tough question. It would be really difficult to not say. It needs to be somebody who's really killing it in business as well, so I can learn some things.
Dead or alive?
Dude, honestly, I've got to say it's going to be someone like a Reagan or like a Justin Shire or like a Chris Bumstead. Or one of those guys that's just dominating in their business.
Yes.
And killing it as an athlete, like one of those guys.
There's so many things we didn't get to business related wise, man. I'm going to have you back on, dude. Unfortunately, that we didn't get to that this time.
Yeah.
But can, tell me about what's going on now with you.
Yeah.
Like what's
everything I do is mentorship.
Okay.
I just became co-owner and director of formulations for Imminent Nutrition. It's a supplement company based out of Dallas. We're absolutely killing it. We have some amazing stuff coming there. Everything I'm doing is focusing on the Elite Coaching Academy. We're just helping trainers learn the skill set and the business development to easily earn $20K to $50K in a month. We're developing the second part of that too. That's going to take people from 50 to 100K plus per month. And that's a lot of fun. It's been amazing. We're seeing our people make a lot of money and impact a lot of people, which is dope. And then together more, I'm just driving the coaches to continually learn more and more. And anyone who wants to work with me now has to work with the Together More community. But man, we're going to take amazing care of everybody. So
how can people find you?
Jay Mihaly on Instagram. Come check out the Grow Eye podcast, specifically the episode with you. And shit, at this point, over the next year, it's going to be hard to not find me. So I definitely look forward to that. I love what's happening. Dude, I appreciate you having me.
Man, I'm so sorry. We didn't get to so much. Business-wise, I was really hoping to get a business stuff, man. I just went down other and very interesting holes.
Yeah.
But man, if you can make the time, I would love to have you back on
Yeah,
sometime.
next time I would love to chat about. I would love to chat about like literally going from 0 to 8 figures in a year. From there, I didn't do it in 1 year, but like taking that 8 years ago, I was completely broke, and this year it's our first 8-figure year.
That's a story.
And yeah, I would love to chat about that.
Yeah.
Help other people expedite that.
Bro, thanks for coming on, man. It means the world to me. I appreciate you. Could talk to you for days, brother.
Yeah, Judd, you're the man. We need more men like you in this world.
same.
Thank you so much,
Same,
bro.
man.